Tyler DeSantis, left side. Out of Huntington, New York. Good-looking 88 Mustang. It's a sharp-looking car. William Colson, right side. Southwick, Maine.
Bill Colson's out on DeSantis, and he is out just enough with the win light on. Did not break out, played the game smartly. The racer from Southwick, Massachusetts advances on to the next round.
All right, a pair of Chevrolets coming up next. Cohen Layton, right-hand side out of Conway, South Carolina, right there in Myrtle Beach area. John Solly, New Waterford, Ohio, a big body, 82 Monte Carlo. Look back, please.
He lifted and coasted as, unfortunately, Cohen Layton had the truck just fail on him at the starting line, so he's going to take the slow boat down the right lane. John Sally smartly took his foot out of the throttle and he didn't hear a competitor next to him. Troy Perez Jr. and Scott Urbanowicz. It's actually a really good race here. Two talented racers. Urbanowicz spends a lot of his time doing the back of the track style stuff, the really raw, no prep stuff. He's got the turbocharger mounted out behind the car where we'd see a parachute mounted on a lot of cars. He's got his turbo hanging out there. Troy Perez has the C4 style Corvette. Underappreciated body style. You don't see a lot of stuff like stock-bodied C4 Corvettes are in short supply. I don't think he's running the original tune port injection on this car. If it revs more than 5,600 RPM, we know he's not. Was one of the coolest looking factory intake manifolds, though. Did not RPM for anything, but it was cool looking. Oh, you had to put the airfoil splitter in there. Yeah. The profit margin on that part may have been higher than any other part produced in the history of the aftermarket. Yeah. Perez is going to leave second. Urbanowicz is out first. Couple of good racers here. Perez on the brakes gets the win light.
Up right there in the left-hand lane.
And Urbanowicz was out on him, too. Victor's fired up. His buddy just put it into the next round. Mike Corley and Joe Murrell coming up next. Murrell from Fort Erie, Ontario, Canada. And Mike Corley, Tripp Law Firm side. Corley's rocking the camo-colored S10.
Yeah, pretty cool. Both cars right here, man. A beautiful Camaro, second gen in a right-hand lane out of Canada. That's a phenomenal car. And this one's very unique in the left-hand side. Corley with the camo and all the hardware in the rear of that thing and the bed.
Traditional big block Chevy for Murrell in the 70 Camaro, and LS motor for Mike Corley with the turbochargers mounted just behind the cab. Fuel cell mounted all the way out by the tailgate. You can see the plumbing for the turbos if you look just below the doors. Stainless steel pipe heading from the bed up to the front of the engine. Corley's Turbo LS motor is going to make the big run on the backside of the drag strip, but it's going to be Joe Murrow getting there first.
Joe Murrow with a show car into the next round. Beat off the tree right there. Had a lot of room, and it couldn't make up the ground. A little camouflage S10 couldn't get there.
Rob Kohler coming up, 2018 C7 style Corvette out of Arcadia, Florida, and Jordan DaCosta out of Mayaca. Raspy LS power for Kohler. Or LT power likely, and Jordan DaCosta. They have replaced the hood scoop that they launched into low Earth orbit. Last night we just had a gaping hole in the hood. Now we got the plexi scoop peeking out of it.
Boy.
Yeah, it looks nice. Some people are critical on the scoop on a scoop look with the cowl plus that, but I think it looks good on this truck.
All right, a pair of Floridian cars right here. Two more good-looking race cars here in the little gangster category. Out over there for Rob, way out in front. Yeah, he's going to throw that thing into neutral.
Yeah, throw the anchor out. So Kohler advances in the Corvette. Once again, we need the Super Pro Shootout. Super Pro Shootout, all 48 entries for round one eliminations behind the timing tower. Craig Wilson throwing it back old school here with his awesome looking paint job on the 1968 Camaro. As you mentioned last night, Steve, this was the like primo fairground cruiser Pro Street look back in the day.
I can envision it right now. You're looking on YouTube and get an 80s grainy video right on there pulling into the fairgrounds.
And they would tune those things to have that ridiculous surge and idle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tommy Hoskinson from Hebron, Ohio, 71 Nova, the Buckeye State.
Man, that paint scheme and the color and the quality of that really represents it well, though.
Oh, it's a great looking car.
Yeah. Looking Chevrolets. I like Hoskins Nova over there as well, man. That flat black, really popular. I like it.
One Hoskinson advanced already in his S10 truck. We'll see if both of the Hoskinson boys can get through this for a second round of eliminations.
I'm getting in right there. Is that a duel? No, left side I believe is moving. Yeah.
Hoskinson better move his program along. He's in now.
All shot advantage left side, it looked like. Wilson out in front. Turns on the win line.
Yeah, Hoskinson cut him loose down there. You saw the nose drop. He let Wilson cross first in the hopes Wilson would break out, but no such luck for Tommy Hoskinson. Craig Wilson turns back the clock and turns himself into a round two winner. Eric Henward and the machine known as Ray Charles going to take on Scotty Taylor out of Dickinson, Texas. Buick Regal would have had either a 229 Oddfire V6 in it in 1984 or a 307 Buick motor in it. That was a real stormer.
Neat color over there. Kenward's car out of Vero Beach, Florida. That's like a flesh tone color. I don't know what we call that, but it's different.
Frankie the Madman Taylor made just a quick adjustment on the front end of his son Scotty Taylor's car. Last night, Scotty hit the gas, the car stood up on end, and he pedaled his way to a round one victory. We'll see what the Madman's final tweak can do there. He pedals his way out of another wheel stand. Eric Kenward, the great racer he is that enough to let Kenward by? No, it is not. Scotty Taylor gets a victory.
Man, that thing jumped out of there. Did you see that launch on it? Way out in front.
We have a Platinum F3 or F450 dually parked in the midway. Texas plate VHV 7491. A black Platinum Super Duty dually bought at Prestige Ford in Texas is parked in the midway. VHV 7491. And if you think it's too big for us to tow, try us. We have the technology.
Once again, Super Pro. Got to have you. Super Pro, Super Pro, Super Pro. Got to have you. This is another interesting matchup right here, Brian, with these pair.
Travis Cannon, Lexington, Oklahoma, the 89 BMW. Brandon Foster, the North Fort Myers, Florida S10.
Really cool car over there, an 89 BMW. I really like that thing. In front.
Way out on him, so Cannon's going to pace him down the racetrack. Oh, he lifted. He let him by. He had him by the neck, and then he let him by, maybe touched the brakes, and Brandon Foster sneaks his way into round number 3.
Never give up.
Troy Perez Sr. and Tommy Zuisa coming up right now. Zuisa from Cape Coral, Florida, the 2014 Mustang in blue. And Troy Perez Sr. trying to do what his son did just a couple of minutes ago and moving around 3.
The Chevrolet matchup right here, round number 2, are Little Gangsters. You called it, Brian. Troy Perez Sr. left side, the Chevrolet Nova. So right side, a pair of Floridian cars, 2014 Mustang. 427 cubic inches over here, left lane.
Troy Perez, they launch it, and now he's just going to pace Zuisa down the racetrack. Perez, a very cagey racer, plays it the right way. That car, you know, they get the thing out about 30 or 40 feet, and then you can really hear the motor wake up when the nitro starts coming into play there. But Perez knew that he had a very solid lead and did not give it back. Walt Drakeford and Kevin Smith, this is actually a great matchup here to finish this second round. Two guys that are both from Florida and two guys that are long time and very good racers.
I'm going to check the track out real quick. The Tommy Zuisa's car right there, I believe, dumped a lot of fuel going down the right side of that thing. It was just trailing out there, the overflow. All right, the last pair, Kevin Smith, good looking. 79 Camaro on left-hand lane, 325 cubic inches.
All right, KSR, Kevin Smith and Walt Drakeford. No Drakeford, unfortunately, so Kevin Smith gets the competition single here in round number 2. Going to move immediately into Super Pro round 1 eliminations right after this car. And Smith takes it cleanly down the left-hand side. So just going to touch up the right side of the racetrack, and then we'll go right into Super Pro round 1. 48 cars in this first round off the trailer. E1 for Super Pro. We're going to then prep the racetrack and go into round 1 of Outlaw Pro Mod after Super Pro.
Oh, right behind the water box, the most important thing of the weekend. Look, the ice cream truck is in motion. Ding, ding, ding,
For those of you that
ding,
did not
ding,
get
ding.
the memo last night, we're going to go through as we have a minute our first round matchups that will happen in Pro Mod. They were determined, of course, not by qualifying order, but they were determined by a chip draw last night. The 32 cars that are in the race, that was determined by qualifying order. But our first round matchups in Pro Mod, which will be coming in just a little while, Melanie Salemi will match up with Keith Haney. It'll be Mark Mickey and Kai Kelly. Ken Curtuccio and Spencer Hyde. Justin Harris will take on Jay Cox, the 2 stars of the PDRA. Kurt Stedding and Isaiah Rojas will battle. Sidney Frigo and Jeff Rudolph. Cameron Hensley and Steve King. Scott Taylor will take on Raymond Matos. Vic Alvarez, the Cinderella story of the race, will take on John Rica in an international battle between a Floridian and an Australian. Ty Tutterow and Joe Wensley Sr. It'll be Bowman and Lyle Barnett. Ryan Hayward and Johnny Camp. Tim Dutton of New Hampshire will take on Erica Enders. Billy Banica and Amber Denton will battle. Stevie Fast Jackson and Stan Shelton will fight it out. And then it'll be Alex Laughlin and Tommy Franklin. There are 2 Pro Mod races today. That first race will happen. The first round of the 150,000 to win race will happen. Then later on today, we'll have the first round of a second chance race, and that's going to be a unique format. The second chance race is for any non-qualified cars. They can come up into the lanes, they'll make runs down the racetrack. We're not going to determine a winner necessarily by win lights. It's going to be the 4 quickest cars of that group will come back. Then the 2 quickest cars of those 4 will come to the final, and then the final round will be determined about who gets there first. But to get to the final, you can lose your side-by-side and still be quicker in advance.
That's right. Win light means nothing when they come back.
It's all about the ET. The 4 quickest will come back, and then the 2 quickest will go to the final, and that will be a win light. That's for $10,000.
It's all about feel. And this car, I love this car, but not when it hesitates. So I was looking for better performance. That's why I went with an Edelbrock AVS2 carburetor. No hesitation. The Edelbrock warranty. Great throttle response. Now when I punch it, it moves. Edelbrock, charge forward.
We drive performance. We drive passion. A background in drag racing. And a future in all forms of motorsports. Because success in one sport isn't enough. Pushing ourselves to be the best. Climbing every mountain. Topping every peak. Until you see Fuel Tech everywhere.
Miller chassis dragster with a 476 dial-in, so the motorcycle will have the head start. Unless you think Rick Eaton is at any sort of disadvantage here, this is one of the best motorcycle bracket racers in the country.
Yeah, so this is round one of elimination, so that, you lose, you're done right here. You waited all weekend. This is pretty interesting, and you mentioned how good Rick Eaton is on that motorcycle. I don't know that I'd want to be looking over my left shoulder there and watching this lawn dart come at you down there in the big end.
Yeah, the speed differential here is going to be pretty significant. Eaton's going to have about a full second head start, which in an 8th-mile drag race is pretty significant. Eaton, the traditional old-school drag bike with the long wheelie bar, going to control that rear tire, keep his wheelie at a very low-flying height, and Hamlick's going to have to count off about 1 Mississippi until the tree on his side fires. Rick Eaton going to be second to stage as he creeps the motorcycle ahead with his toes.
Oh, red light. There it goes. Squeaks it. Up by 8 thou goes red. A free pass.
They both ran dead on with a change, too. Eaton ran 5.609 on a 60 dial, but it was over when he red lit. Hamlick went 4.76.5 on a 4.76 dial.
Harry Siggety, left-hand side. 574 the number. He's going to lead first as well against the dragster on the right-hand side. Pretty cool 64 Falcon, 434 cubic inches. He's out of right here in Bradenton. He's going to face Jerry Wilson. Wilson out of Palm Harbor, 615 cubic inches, 2021 Race Tech dragster. So another big spot coming right here as the door car will get to handicap. Start going to be out there somewhere around the Christmas tree. 60 foot before Wilson launches it.
Gary Siggety and Jeremy Wilson, and Wilson just ate up Siggety on the starting line, 58 on a 57. Siggety was also 2/10 over the dial-in, so Jeremy Wilson moves on to round 2.
Yeah, he had about 3 of those dragster links down there to finish line to determine what he wanted to do with it. Leaving first here by a large margin is going to be Adam Cohen. Cohen is a popular name down here, bracket racing in Florida. 69 Malibu, 380 cubic inches. Man, that's a tiny one. That's bite size. And the eliminator right side, Gary Varney. The beautiful 85 Thunderbird. 539. And that is an OG Glidden car. Huge advantage right here for the Ford. Gonna catch him and get him. Breakout left side. Adam tried to hold him off, goes 79. Way under that 7 flat dial. Dead 2 is Varney. Man. Oh, look at that burnout down there. Just ripping that throttle, going down through it. Moving first right here, Pete Dragich. Dragich out of Plant City, Florida. 70 Nova. Wife Sherry down there somewhere. 673 the number. Perk Perkins. Right side. 67 Chevy 2. 632 cubic inches. Dials in 519. So another big handicap start this time. Coming to the Nova in a left lane. Two beautiful cars here. I'd take either one of these Novas.
Burt Perkins, last run he made, we saw a whole lot of smoke funnel out on the right side of the motor. They've obviously gotten it fixed. And Perkins going to try to track down Pete Dragich.
He's got a big advantage there at the stripe.
And he took it to the house. 523 and a 519 dial with a 22 light. Not the tightest package of Burt Perkins' career, but it was good enough to win. Dragich was 60 on the tree, and that was just too much room for Burt Perkins to give back.
Yeah, he had some room down there that probably clipped him by about at least half a car. So a pair of Camaros coming out right now. They look nothing alike. Moving first is going to be the right side. Sal Bellamo out of Howell, New Jersey. Good looking 79 Camaro as well.
Nice Irish kid, Sal Bellamo.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, forget about it, huh? You know, this body style here, 79, this is highly sought after now. You know, it used to be the first gen or second gen. Now everybody's after these things.
Late second gen Camaro.
And there's the big scoop on scoop you're talking about. Dennis Klein, left side, going to move first. Oh boy, way out in front. He's going to be looking out that little window at 69 on the right side. big hole shot advantage right there. It was 13 up front. Klein was. Turns on the wind light. Breakout there for Sal. Moving first right here by a little bit, Lauren Sandry out of Parrish, Florida. Black dragster on the right side. Left side, oh no, do we have issues? Can't get that thing into reverse there. Cameron Hawkins. Oh man, that's a good family right there. The Hawkins family got her hung out. Can't get it back out of Cocoa, Florida. Not sure what's happening with the dragster. Right now in round number 1 of Super Pro, or Super Pro Shootout. Round 1 Super Pro Shootout. You all should be in the lanes.
All right, so the good news for Cameron Hawkins is, well, it was good news. The car was making its way back. It's okay. It's a cliffhanger. Will she or won't she make it back? Oh, she has no brakes.
All right, Cameron backing the car up. The word in the tower is has no brakes. The car will not stop. So no brakes on that one. She says, hey, I can't send it down. There are no brakes. Nothing going to stop me at the big end but the dirt. It's a tough break there for Cameron Hawkins, man. That's a great team over there. Haley is still in, I believe. Haley was racing. I saw her in a car. I think she's running top dragster. So solo right here for Lauren Sandry. He runs it out the back door like they're supposed to do. Got a little cushion there, goes 92 and a 94. Oh, good looking car right there, left-hand side. Moving first going to be Nico. Nico had the throttle brake on his first round, or only round, I guess, time run. So now he's got to take a stab at it. 483. He's out of Sarasota, Florida. 2000 undercover car. Patrick McMath, left side, 451. Out of Chesapeake, Virginia. Some of my hometown. Born and raised in Newport News, so I know all about Chesapeake. Dragster right there on the left-hand side. Al Tucci in the house.
Hey, good morning, Steve Logan. Good morning, Gavin, Law, Brian Loans. Be a good day, man.
Oh, man, look at this. 12 fouls separate them. Oh, man, you're 002 and a double breakout. You're going home, man. 81 on an 83. Nico takes a blind stab at the dial-in. Gets there and a double breakout, goes to round number 2.
How about it? Not bad for a kid who just got in a dragster and doing a good job. Here comes Steve Canizzo coming up out of Bradenton, Florida, 67 Mustang belonging to Faith Frost. She don't like to bracket race. She loves index racing. Who's in the left lane?
Jay Adams.
You know, Canizzo said, I'm going to go heads up with the guy. He didn't get a time run. I don't even know what the thing runs. Look at that 004. Tapping that stuff down on the top end.
He knows what he's doing down there, man.
You're not kidding. He's a great bracket racer. Canizzo gets one there without even having a dial in. He had to guess one there, and he went against Adams and puts him on the trailer.
004 to 007. Wow. What's his name? First here is going to be Chris Rosica out of Grove City, Ohio. Beautiful 2013 Cobra Jet. Look at that thing over there, man. That is a good-looking car.
Sure, got the snake out of the basket. I like that Oldsmobile, though. 97 Olds Cutlass of Johnny Myers right there. Broadway, Virginia. That is a good-looking Olds. You like those years? Remember the old Pro Stock years?
It's a really cool race cars. That one looks good. Charlie Buck. Power plant under the hood right there. I talked to Charlie yesterday. Right there for Chris. I believe that thing lost traction. Going to turn it over to Myers. He gets the win there, 501. Maybe it didn't go. He goes 580 right there. So I don't know what that dial-in came, where that came from. 596. He loses traction and goes 580.
Not bad. First round of Super Pro. Didn't get many runs this week, but they are running on the numbers. Here's Rodney Worrell. Belpre, Ohio will be in the left lane. Another one of those Cobras onto the basket here. Getting ready to go. The Cobra Jet in the left lane, Steve.
Kerry Siggety, the other Siggety over there on the right-hand side, the 88 Thunderbird. This one launches hard. I like the way this one leaves. Pretty fast, too. 493 for a door car is quick. So a big handicap start for Rodney and that beautiful Cobra Jet. I'm seeing double, right? Looks just like the one that went down.
Absolutely. Probably a team car, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, they're going to pull in first ever so gently. 575. Handicap's going to go here to the left lane. Winking, blinking, bang on the green. Finds himself out 030, 26.
Close. 5,000 separate him. Somebody ripping it on down, and the wind light goes left side to Rodney Worrell. That was a close race. Their margin of victory, though, was pretty big. Off the pace, 510 for Kerry. He made a nosedive to try to think Rodney was going to break out. No good, though. Wind light left side to the Mustang.
Bring up a long and skinny in the far right lane for this round. First round elimination, Super Pro.
Oh, look at the handicap start coming right here.
Look at the Mustang, looks good.
734 to 471. Colton Aragon, one of the shorter wheelbase dragsters right there on the right-hand side. A beautiful streetcar Mustang, left lane. Big spot. So Colton Aragon in that the 2022 Race Tech Dragsters are going to have to sit there a little while and watch that Mustang get away from him, man. He's going to be, with this amount of spot right here, he's going to be about, I don't know, 250 feet out, I believe, before the dragster lets loose.
Thing to watch here, watch the rear tire on the Mustang. Let's see how he gets out of there. Does he get hooked? Straight out, man. Good light. Oh, better light than that little skinny one right there. Let's see who goes down there and puts it in the center. There it is, too quick for the dragster.
Oh, he was way out in front. I mean, caught him quick, but it had too much cushion in there and took too much at the stripe. Good win right there for Kelly.
That'll bring up a battle of the one-wheeler peelers right here. Robert Remick coming up, Boca Raton, Florida. His wife Patty here this weekend, and the 2016 Chevrolet Corvette. Who's in the right lane?
Going to be Rob Stilwell out of Ohio, 2016 Hellcat. 7 flat, a 699, man. They're basically heads up. You can look at it that way. 690 index, almost 699. First one to the finish line without going under. They're looking at each other the whole way. Big whole shot advantage left side for Robert Remick.
Wow, Remick getting that win there. Here comes another one of those little dragsters here of Mike Pruss. So right out of West Palm Beach, Florida.
Mike Pruss back in that. That's a good-looking dragster over there, man. It reminds me of like a motorhome.
It does. You're absolutely right. I was sitting there going.
It looks really cool, though.
It's got that same design on the side of it. Wonder if it's got a kick out in it.
So Mike Pruss, way down there in South Florida. I think he owns South Florida Choppers, I believe it is, and does a lot of work on some motorcycles. He's in tight with got the contract on the motorcycles, so the police department does all theirs too, and pretty successful. Oh, there it is, South Florida Choppers right there.
There you go.
And I was telling Brian yesterday, he actually built a twin turbocharged chopper for Brett Favre.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty cool.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, rolls the beams. Pruss with a free roll.
Nice hook there for Pruss, man. That thing yanked the wheels, goes a little quick, but what? First worst, the red light went on, or didn't even get the red. He went before the tree was activated. Rolled through, the little pickup truck did. That'll bring up the Roadster in the right side of the racetrack. Nice little car. And jumping on deck, Brian Loans to tell us all about those headers that are hanging out of the front of it. Bri?
Yeah, nice little shorty headers running down the front fenders of that curvaceous Roadster.
Cool little car, isn't it?
It is. I like the full fender Roadsters like that. As Bill Herman comes up, 70.5, the first version of a second-gen Camaro here. List the motor as a 5.7, so likely a LS plant under the hood. Street car, too, is going to license plate on it as John Tolosano is going to chew him up and spit him out at the stripe down there.
Now listen to John. That's how you race right there. You can throw away what you think how perfect run will be.
Yeah.
Just to trust it. He gets out of it because he passed the guy by what? What was the gap on that, Gav?
0.2.
Yeah, 0.2 of a second. So why go through there and go, really?
Yeah, the guys that are very good at this, they can judge that closure rate between themselves, the racer, and the finish line. We need our first 4 pair of M&M Outlaw Pro Modified presented by Fuel Tech and PJS Racing. The road to $150,000 payday will begin with Melanie Salemi and Keith Haney, Mickey and Kai Kelly, Cartuccio, Spencer Hyde, Harris, and Jay Cox. We need those first 4 pairs to the lanes.
So the Roadster down there, Bobo down the run. Bobo does it, 5:54 and a 48. A little off pace there at 111 miles per hour. And Terry Lockwood goes 6:25 to 7:77.9 on that run.
Once again, we need Salemi, Haney, Mark, Mickey, Kai Kelly, Ken Cartuccio, Spencer Hyde, Jason Harris, and Jay Cox. The first 4 pair of M&M Outlaw Pro Mod presented by Fuel Tech and PJS Racing Engines. We need you to the staging lanes now to kick things off and a 5-round bout for $150,000 payday.
Big dollars right there. The Brinks truck will be here around 4 p.m. to bring all that in. It's all in pennies, by the way.
You're getting paid in real American beer. Hulk Hogan's real American beer.
Hey, there you go. You can work a little deal in, right?
Be paid in real American currency, baby.
So David Braskett, Marengo, Ohio, gets ready.
And Dave Braskett looks over, waits for the dragster, and plays the game perfectly. 671 on a 664 dial-in. Braskett hit the tree for 004, and the dragster was more than a 1/10 of a second off the dial. That screaming voodoo motor in the front of that GT500 Mustang.
That sounded good. Now, is that a factory exhaust or is that aftermarket?
Looks factory, but
I'm just going by the sound.
yeah, no,
that thing sounded really
pretty
good.
raspy. I think, well, these things have basically factory exhaust cutouts on them. So you hit the race mode button, and it's basically open pipes out of the
really?
factory.
They have a little deal
It's electronic. It's electronic exhaust on these things, so you can have it like super quiet, kind of performance mode, and then you put it in track mode, and it will scream.
How about that, man? Chevrolet Nova's going to try to give him that Thomas deal. Well, red light start. Trent's going to get this deal down to the top end. 591 goes too quick, 589, but enough to stay in the game. 65 El Cabongo right here. I love these cars. I mean, I go back. There's a man in this crewing for Powers that had one that was so bad to the bone when I was a kid, Chuck Samuel. Do you remember that old green one with the concrete and the tailgate down? Destroyed everyone on the streets of Chicago.
Brian Stovall of Palmetto, Florida, the 1987 third-generation Camaro. Tried and true version of a small block Chevy of 383 cubic inches. Wiggins, a 509-inch big block, so a mildly expanded big block Chevy. Wound tight, high revving.
We'll see how that Wiggins rolls in. 54 to 5 on the front of that. He'll give the handicap away to the Chevrolet. Here we go, the Camaro in the right lane.
Just nibbling his way in there. You can see the taillights flashing as he works the brake pedal to creep that car ahead. Wants to stage very shallow. Just catch that beam. Drives out to a 150-foot wheel stand, but Brian Stovall drove out for the 019. Oh, he got him back. Stovall broke out. Wiggins, the wheel standing El Camino, gets it done.
You know why he broke out? He looked in his rearview mirror and went, oh my God, this thing looked like a shark coming out of the ocean on him. What a wheel stand. But so this Chevrolet Nova's got the wheelie bar set up high here in the left lane. Baldridge out of Russell, Kentucky will be in the 70 model, 396. Could have came factory that way. Who's in the right lane?
And Wade Gullett, 427 powered 69 Camaro.
Big name in Bradenton, Wade Gullett. Been around for a lot of years, man, doing his stuff.
Got those super tricks on the front of the thing. Just a neat old school bracket car.
Ooh, you see that back end? He got up in here, and it's like the tire wanted to break loose. Shifting gears, going to be a double push, and the better end goes to Gullett. 25.5 on a 33. You'll go to round number 2.
Baldrige threw the anchor out down there. He had both feet on the brake pedal. He saw the thing kind of walk around, but it will be Gullett. And Robert Joyner has the bye here in this first round of Super Pro Shootout eliminations. 1971 Challenger, 520 cubic inch Chrysler wedge engine. Joyner 009 green goes 568.3 at 121 miles an hour to take a field of 49 cars and turn it into about 25.
Unleash your engine with Adrenaline Racing Oil's 100% PAO-based oil. The Adrenaline R Series is designed to unlock extra horsepower. Free up your engine to perform its best. Top-performing oils with FR3 nanocarbon technology. The same friction reducer used by top racers. Designed for any engine. Lab-formulated, dyno-tested, track-proven. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Beamer and the team get ready to pull them in the beams.
It's my favorite day of the week. It is race day here at Bradenton Motorsports Park for the Drag Illustrated Winter Series final day at Bradenton. It is the World Series of Pro Mod. Don O'Neill, it was a late last night. How are your words this morning? Mine are a bit jonky.
Well, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I took like 6 caffeine pills and have been running around my bus trying to get fired up about this because it feels like I'm in grad school. We're dragging out our dissertation here. That this is going to be an amazing, fast, challenging, exciting day on a Saturday. It's going to be epic. It's going down in the history books.
It's going to be great, but I just dropped my microphone as soon as we started this, so we're off to a really good start here. Let's dive into some things that happened last night. Last night was absolutely incredible. We built it up, and it did not disappoint. We had some major hero runs, but let's take a look at Mark Mickey just laying it down 67.5. And I was standing next to the Cartuccio camp when that happened, and all they could say was, oh my God.
Well, and again, we talked about it. We talked about it up top in the VIP tent last night. The weather in that round moved so far back on track conditions that it allowed Mickey to make that run at that time.
Look at this top 10 here. Mickey, Harris, Bowman, Hayward, Cartuccio, Dutton, Laughlin, Camp, Tutterow, Jackson. There's names in there we have not mentioned in 3 races.
No, for sure. But again, if you give them enough time, these tuners and data, and they can get enough hits at the racetrack, they make those hero runs to move up. You take one session out of the weekend, and we don't see those times that are up there right now.
No, and if anything would have happened squirrely yesterday, we had some delays, had some incidents. They did everything they could to get that run in last night. Y'all stuck with us. It was late, but it was absolutely worth it. Let's talk about those hero runs last night. Stan Shelton, we talked about this yesterday. I love it. Stan Shelton was out. Lyle Barnett was out. Erica Enders was out. Kurt Stedding was out. Amber Denton was out. Alex Laughlin was out. All of them got in.
I know they made me look so dumb, and I appreciate that because that's because I'm a sports reporter and she's a sports personality. Oh!
But that was awesome. I love that because that's what people stay in the grandstands for and watch that Q5. I'd said it's my favorite moment of the season, and it did not disappoint. We've got some matchups that are going to be heavy. The chip draw last night was intense, to say the least. First out, we're going to see Melanie Salemi and Keith Haney. A big one with championship contention here. Mark Mickey and Kai Kelly. We're going to get into that in a minute. Then you don't even have to wait 6 seconds. You're going to see the next championship contention matchup with King Cartuccio, Spencer Hine. A lot of other big matchups here. Jason Harris and Jay Cox drew each other for the second freaking race in a row.
Well, and that matchup made you and I both look dumb. We talked about it in the VIP tent. We both picked Jason Harris and Jay Cox to at least make it to the semis. Well, guess what? That's not happening.
There is a lot of awesome stuff on here, guys. Take a look at it. Take note of it. Pick your pick and ride. But let's talk championship scenarios. Those first 3 pairs right there, a lot is going to change after that. So we have Mark Mickey and Kai Kelly. Mark Mickey, #1 qualifier. Kai Kelly all but threw up when he drew Mark Mickey's name last night, but Kai Kelly has to win to stay alive.
Yes, and I think right now with Mark Mickey, everybody knows that Mark Mickey is not always uber aggressive up front on the starting line, right, on the tree, but he is going to have to get up on the tree for this because Jeff Pierce and Kai Kelly are capable of giving that 2 to 2.5 hundredths window to make it challenging for Mark Mickey to turn on a win light.
Then that next pair, Ken Cartuccio leading the field by quite a bunch, but things can happen today. So, officially, unofficially, this is what we got from Drag Illustrated this morning. Right now, as it stands, no change. Everybody below Jeff Rudolph, who is in the number 11 position, is eliminated. So 1 through 11 can win this championship. We're not going to talk too far into it because things have to happen, right? But if Ken Cartuccio wins round 1, everybody below Decker, who is number 6, is eliminated. If Ken wins round 2, everyone but Kai is eliminated. But we cannot speak on that too far because there is a chance both of those guys in the 1 and 2 position go out first round. And then everything we told you in all those graphics, sorry, Mike Carpenter, you gotta do them again.
Well, and absolutely, and that's just going to completely change the way the whole entire event's going to run. You're not going to have a double up. You're not going to have a back-to-back. Ken Cartuccio's run for 3 is down the toilet, and I'm telling you right now, I'm sticking with it. Ken Q, your destiny awaits, my friend. It awaits. Serial killer, get up on the tree, buddy. You got this.
Well, there's everybody gunning for him. It was so funny in our interview last night at the chip draw. All of Kai Kelly and his crew members were like hugging on Spencer. I'm going to follow you on Instagram. We're your biggest fan. He texted him this morning. Like, this is what it's all about, though, because relationships that happen here, when you're out there, serial killer, you said it. Everybody wants to rip each other's throats out. But last night's vibe was really, really fun, and it's going to play into what happens today.
Oh, for sure. I don't know how Mark Savage feels right now, right? Because last night, Spencer was very vocal about it. That was not the run that they expected. They made a change behind the bell housing, and it didn't work. Or I should say inside the bell housing. And so for them to come out here this morning, not having what they had last night, and they know what they're lining up against in the other lane. I don't know. I think I'd be eating some Pepto-Bismol if I was Mark Savage.
Listen, it's all going to happen now. We don't know what's going to happen. You are not going to want to miss this. FloRacing all day is going to have the best action in the world. Brian, Mike, we just predicted it, but we have no idea what's going to happen. Y'all know more. Let's hear what you think.
Well, thank you, Courtney and Don, as we get ready for this race day. The crowd's coming in here. We got great traffic coming in the racetrack. Mike Carpenter, Brian Loans up here in the booth. We'll be bringing you the Pro Mod action all day long. Mike, it has been 2 days. It has been an odyssey. It's been 2 days that have felt like a month in some respects. We've had some of the longest, most incredible Pro Mod qualifying sessions ever. You guys threw all that in the blender last night with the chip draws those two talked about. And as usual, the chip draw has delivered some very compelling first-round matchups.
Yeah, the chip draw gods delivered yet again. I've got a couple stellar matchups we'll be looking forward to seeing today. Good conditions out there this morning as well. Similar to maybe what we saw for first session yesterday. So we'll have to go back and look and see what guys performed well then to kind of predict what we're going to see in this first round.
Courtney and Don mentioned some of the implications of these first-round matchups. We see Ken Cartuccio and Spencer Hyde. They focused on that one, but I want to look down the list a little bit here. Victor Alvarez and John Rica, I'm already dubbing this the international incident. You got the Australian and the Floridian going to go at it first round.
Vic did not want to draw him, by the way. He actually saw when he came up. He's like, man, this dude's tough. I don't want to draw him. Sure enough, that happened.
To me, I look at Ryan Hayward and Johnny Camp. We have Johnny Camp, who's at the first of the Winter Series races we've seen, but we have watched Ryan Hayward really come into his own, and I feel like Ryan Hayward is almost a perfect match for Camp in that first round.
He really is. Those two cars came up, I think, one after the other in our pairings last night, and very similar performance at the top of the ranks as far as the Pro Charger car.
One of the neat things here, too, is we see in these two columns of cars a lot of variation in power adder. Mickey, the turbo car, will take on Kelly with the screw blower on it. Alex Laughlin, screw blower versus the nitrous car of Tommy Franklin. And that is a point we have been making over the qualifying sessions of how Mother Nature will play into the hands of these racers. It is ideal out there right now, almost for everybody.
It really is, and we saw this happen first round of U.S. Street Nationals.
Yes.
Cars were coming out and actually exceeding their performance from the night prior. So I expect to see some very stout numbers at first round this morning. It'll get a little bit warmer, but this track I think will hold a little bit more consistently than we saw at U.S. Street Nationals because we're not flipping from radial prep to slick tire prep. So a consistent race day throughout, but we will monitor that.
And those who tuned in for the morning shift this morning saw we've had traffic down this racetrack already in a good way. We've run the second round of Little Gangsters. We've run the first round of our Super Pro shootout. And as you well know, more traffic down the racetrack before the Pro Mods makes the surface even better.
Yeah, it looks great out there right now. It's got that nice satin finish to it. The groove is really worked in, so.
Wes Bucks on the starting line with a very special guest as we kick this day off.
Thank you guys so much for joining us at what Steve said, the 6th ever World Series of Pro Mod. This event was a lifelong dream. At the end of the day, I am just like all of y'all. That's why I'm wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt, because I want to fit in with you. Not the people that work here. I want to fit in with you guys, because that's what I am. I'm a drag racing fan. I worked my whole life to get to this moment where I've got all my heroes. I tell people all the time I'm so proud of this, but it's actually quite the selfish endeavor, because this is the drag race that I want to see, right? I want to see Mark Mickey line up against Kai Kelly, right? I want to see these iconic matchups that you can't see anywhere else in the world. And I want to tell you guys that all the teams that are here, all of our sponsors, all of our staff, everybody that supports this deal, nobody is more important to the sport than all of y'all sitting in the stands. The fact that you chose to spend your hard-earned money and come out and spend your weekend with us means everything to us. So thank you. Let's give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. This is what door slammer drag racing deserves. These men and women deserve to race in front of a capacity crowd. They deserve to race in an electric atmosphere with $150,000 on the line. Thank you guys for being part of this. I want to take a quick second and thank my entire team at Drag Illustrated, Bradenton Motorsports Park, best people in the world. We've got over 50 people on staff here this weekend busting their tails to make my dream a reality, and I appreciate it. So let's get this show started. I want to take a quick second and introduce our official Grand Marshal of the 2025 running of the World Series of Pro Mod, WWE Superstar, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Let's give it up. Yeah. Thank you, Jimmy. We're going to have Jimmy up here, and he's going to throw the switch for the first pair of cars. So it's going to be awesome. Anyways, without any further ado, Tammy, thank you. Let's talk to God.
Let us pray. Father God, I stand in your presence amazed. I thank you for what all has come together here for the World Series of Pro Mod. Thank you for the brainchild behind this. Wes Buck and his amazing crew at Drag Illustrated, photographers, videographers, and editors. Father, they tell the stories of our lives. Father, I thank you for Victor Alvarez and Bradenton Motorsports Park. Father, what an amazing facility, Father. Just bless the efforts of what's going on in the future for them, Father. I thank you for every team that is represented here, Father, every family, every business. Father, it takes a village to pull this off, Father, asking for safety with every pass, asking for safety for everyone on the real estate. Father, I thank you for the freedom that you give us to race. Freedom is not free. A price must be paid to achieve and to maintain that. Father, thank you for our amazing military, our veterans, Father, and thank you for those who paid the ultimate price. As well, thanking you for our first responders, Father. They give us hope. Now, Father, I raise today's events up to you and ask you to just bless the track, bless the weather, bless the passes, Father, A to B safe. Father, I just thank you for everything in advance, what's going to happen here today. We give you all the honor and the glory, for it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd rise and remove your hats for the singing of our national anthem by a longtime friend of the Drag Illustrated family, New York-based actress and singer, daughter of Mark and Maria Mickey, the one and only Lauren Mickey. Thank you, Lauren.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Killed it. Killed it. Killed it. Thank you. Let's go. Turn it up, DJ John, all the way up.
Well, Mike Carpenter, when I thought about the things I missed in the doldrums of the winter, when things were below zero, it was that moment of the national anthem and the cars firing up. Our first pair of this 5-round bout to determine who will leave here $150,000 richer. In the case of Ken Cartuccio, it could be upwards of $180,000 richer if he runs the table.
Yeah, goosebumps there with that rendition of the national anthem by Lauren Mickey. So let's get this thing fired up. Great pair to start this session. Melanie Salemi and Keith Haney. It'll be interesting to see what Keith is able to do. 362, I believe it was the second session on Friday. Didn't make the full pole yesterday evening, but this car is certainly capable. Melanie Salemi, always a threat.
How much of this first round, in your experience, is about balancing the emotion behind the wheel of the car? How much of this first round maybe goes beyond the mechanical tune-up and into the brain of the driver?
All of it.
Yeah.
I mean, a big portion of it. And being first pair out, you're sitting back there in the water. You're hearing the national anthem. You're seeing the fans. Everyone, all eyes are on you.
Yes.
I mean, there's no more attention is going to be bestowed on any of this racing and any of these pairs as we get a look at Jimmy Hart here, WWE Hall of Famer, here on the grounds with Real American Beer and the whole crew.
And even the mouth of the South. The one thing this guy can't overpower is a 900-inch nitrous motor and a 500-inch screw-blown Hemi.
If he's the mouth of the South, Wes is like the mouth of the Midwest. got most of the country covered right there.
So Keith Haney in the Black Mamba, a man who certainly has something to prove to himself and everybody else here in the grounds. At Melanie Salemi, who has come close but has faltered when it's gotten deep in the rounds at this race in history. She is looking to pave a new path for herself in that Al Lee Installations Pontiac Firebird, and it goes right through Oklahoma, right through the Black Mamba, and right down this 8-mile drag strip here in Bradenton, Florida. Salemi's out, and Salemi's going to take Haney to the house with a 361 at 204 miles an hour, a tone-setting pass. Melanie was 17 on the tree.
Yep, that's that intensity right there. Keith a little bit late, 078, but I mean, it was over right there. 907. 60 foot for Melanie Salemi. I mean, that may be among the quickest 60-foot times we've seen all day. This track looks phenomenal. The starting line looks great right now. I think these teams are going to take advantage of that. That number, like I talked about earlier, very similar to what we saw last night.
Yeah, she ran a 361.5 on her best pass of the weekend, so within 4,000ths there. And the reality is that 4,000ths can come from her depth of staging. And let's talk about that as Kai Kelly burns out next to Mark Mickey. We talk about staging process changing over the course of a drag race. In qualifying, you barely want to flicker the bulb. In eliminations, things change.
Yeah, and with that turbo combination like Mark Mickey has, it can get a little dicey. We've seen different issues, whether it's mechanical or just, human error as far as using that bump stager to get in there. But there's a lot of intensity on the starting line right here. Kai Kelly, one of the best known levers that we have in this class and across all of drag racing, going to be lining up with Mark Mickey. Kai may find himself at a little bit of a performance disadvantage compared to Mark, but I think he feels like he can make that up on the tree. We'll see if that plays out.
You, as we, will train our eyes primarily to the first 330 feet of this drag race. If Kai Kelly is not basically a car length ahead of Mark Mickey at that point and both cars are pulling along, that Mickey car ran basically 224 miles an hour yesterday, and that is a terrifying thing to think about in the other lane.
Yeah, both cars that have lane choice so far have chosen that left lane, which is usually the favored lane in this first round. But like we talked about at U.S. Street Nationals, the right lane in the second round actually came around a little bit more and became favored. So we'll see what that does if anyone in the right lane feels a little bit disadvantaged. As far as reaction time, right lane is the preferred lane for viewing the tree, not looking over either a big blower or hood scoop or what have you. Turbo cars, they don't really have that issue in either lane.
When Kai Kelly took the 32-car field to the mat at the Snowbird Outlaw Nationals, he held sway in the starting line just about every single round. There is absolutely no question at it. He has to lead first, and this car has to put up a very aggressive 60-foot time and 330 time to stave off Mickey's charge. They're gone. Mickey's going to have to make it up in the back half, and at the finish line, it's Mickey. He goes 361.0 at 218 miles an hour to win by a razor-thin margin. Mickey was 016 on the tree, doing his job in spectacular fashion.
That's not how we expected that to play out. Mark Mickey, 016 on the tree, actually beat Kai. Kai held with him most of the way. Like we said, he didn't come around until the very end there. I think initially, Mark with the advantage. Kai made it up through the middle of the track, but then Mark drives around with that turbo power.
Man alive, very, very, very good pairs here to start this event, and winning reaction times of sub 20 in the first two pair.
Another marquee matchup here, back to back.
Yeah, this is it. This is the carriage turn into a pumpkin at this point? That's the question. Ken Cartuccio, by far the most intimidating car and driver on the property, taking mile an hour aside, it is what he has done with wind lights, and that is the scary thing. But you're looking at a former World Series of Pro Mod champion on the other side of the drag strip in the form of Spencer Hyde. And this is a race for Hyde that may strike him differently mentally, because he knows for him this year, for at least a stretch of probably 8 or 9 months. It's the last time he's going to let go of the button in this car. He'll be letting go of a handbrake in a Nitro Funny car in a week from now. I think that may take a little load off of the guy. He's proven what he's needed to prove, and now he can walk in and understand he is worthy to be in the same ring as Ken Cartuccio.
And on the other side, it really, the points championship scenarios are already shaping up here.
Yes.
With Kai going out early, now Ken, basically it's all in his hands. If Ken wins this round, if he wins round 1, everyone below Travis Harvey is eliminated. Travis Harvey came into this race 8th in the points. So the only people that would still have a shot if Ken wins this round, Lyle Barnett, Mike Decker III, Melanie Salemi, Kurt Stedding, Mark Mickey. Mike Decker III did not qualify, so that already takes him out of contention. So we're down to just a handful of guys that even have a possibility of overtaking Ken Cartuccio, and he could basically seal the deal with this round win and one more in round 2.
A special delivery I'll tell you about after this pair as the tension mounts. Spencer Hyde, you know the man is gritting his teeth inside that car and gritting his teeth with confidence. A tall order ahead of him to stave off and stop at his tracks Ken Cartuccio. Ken Cartuccio has entered 4 drag races this year. 3 of them he's made the final round in. They're going to make a race out of it. All the way down to the stripe, it's Cartuccio. 58 beats a 60. A 23 reaction time for Ken. Hyde was 52. The 60-foot time's near identical, but it was the 60 to 330 when Cartuccio laid the hammer down.
Again, the car that needed the starting line advantage did not get it. We've seen that 3 times in a row. The left lane, Ken had him on the tree, and I believe that's Ken's best pass of the weekend. I think we've seen a 59 out of that car up to this point, 58 in the first round of eliminations. They're just the absolute brutality out of that team continues.
It is exactly what you said when before we fired the first pair, that we have seen in these first rounds cars outproducing, if you will, performance-wise, what they did in the qualifying order. The next pair up will be Jason Harris and Jay Cox. Burnouts happening here for the Party Time Camaro of Jason Harris and Jay Cox in the pumpkin.
We just jumped right into it here. We just jumped right into all of our marquee matchups. Back to back to back to back with Jason Harris and Jay Cox. What's interesting about this, Jay Cox had a great debut at the Snowbirds, came back to US Street, not so much. He's back on his game here for World Series of Pro Mod. And then Jason Harris.
So Mike, as we were getting ready to set up that last run, we had a special delivery of strawberries handed to us by the man who went in the strawberry field earlier this week.
Which one?
Scott Palmer.
Scott Palmer dropped him off.
So if you saw the wreck, Scott Palmer had one of the more horrendous crashes in the history of this event. Into the strawberry field, Scott, a man of incredible sense of humor, came and dropped these off.
However, I did get some clarification yesterday. It's not strawberry season.
Okay.
So apparently it's cucumber season.
Okay.
And that's what's going on down there in that field. I'd rather hit a patch of strawberries with my Pro Mod than a cucumber. So these guys are not timing that up very well. But thank you, Scott, for dropping that off. But yeah, Jason Harris making his return here. And it's like he never left. These two guys actually faced off first round Snowbirds, drew each other in the chip draw at our first race of the Winter Series. We always joke these two guys are just from right down the road from each other in North Carolina. They didn't have to drive all the way to Florida.
They didn't have to do it.
But here they are.
2 stars and multiple time, many wins at a PDRA for both of these racers, and a lot of history. Harris's car super strong early. He is going to outpace Cox handily. 3:59.4 at 208.59 miles an hour. The reaction time separated by 1,000ths, but look at the 60s.
Yeah, closer reaction time, but 9:13.60 foot, 3:59. I believe that's on pace with what he ran last night. We're seeing a lot of these top teams in the left lane. Not only are they choosing that left lane, and we're seeing a lot of the wins come out of that lane, but they're matching their performance from last night, which is exactly what we saw at US Street Nationals as well. It doesn't seem logical. You would think that it would be, they'd at least be a couple of numbers back, but this is exactly what we saw as well. I think just with the fresh track prep.
Yes.
And then the continued data that these teams have accumulated, and it just continues to build, and so they're kind of saving their best for this first round of eliminations.
Kurt Stedding and Isaias Rojas. Rojas on the left side, the Mech Tech. Chevrolet Corvette Stedding backing his way up, and the P2 contracting Chevrolet Camaro, a car that made its best shot at the most optimum time in the final qualifying session to enter the field.
Yeah, like we talked about after that issue they had in Q4 where cooler heads prevailed. They came back up for Q5. I think no one on the planet was happier that we had a 5th qualifying session than Kurt Stedding. Or maybe we were happy as well. Because that got the P2 team calmed down a little bit. Like you said, winning and making good passes is the ultimate cure for everything. So they're right back where they belong. Kurt is always a threat at these events. He's been to the semis and to the final round at both of our World Series of Pro Mod events over the last couple of years. And then we got Rojas over there in the right lane.
The two cars ran within an exact 100th of a second yesterday and during the last qualifying. 62.6, 63.6 were the two numbers. Brad Schmidt waving Kurt Stedding ahead. We have seen some really phenomenal driving so far. Nobody seems to have been overwhelmed by the moment.
Which is a little bit rare. We've seen a lot of veteran drivers make mistakes due to the pressure and the high stakes in the first round of eliminations at the World Series of Pro Mod. None
the
so far.
grandstand's filling up here as both cars leave. It is green, and it will be a walk-off here for Kurt Stedding. 3.607 at 207 miles an hour. His best run of the weekend. A 5.43 shutoff for Rojas. Stedding 24 green.
Yep. We've seen a consistent 9 teens in the 60 feet clocks in that left lane. Again, I don't know. A lot of people will say, oh, man, is it a one-lane racetrack? Is that left lane heavily favored? I just think that that's where all the teams with lane choice prefer to be, and it's a result of that.
Yes, we've not seen anything on the right side of the racetrack to indicate the starting line's off. We've not seen tire shake. We've not seen any of those indications. The only runs we've seen shut off over there are cars with the front end in the air, not tracking in a straight line.
I feel like this could tell the story as well. We've got two very evenly matched teams.
Sidney Frigo, right side of your screen, the Artevinco Racing team out of Brazil, and the Ghetto Sleigh on the left-hand side of your screen. That is Jeff Rudolph, the man they call the Sheriff. Rudolph, the winner of the second chance race here last year.
360 with a 5 is where Sidney qualified, 361 with a 1. So just a few thousand separating these teams in qualifying.
Stevie Fast Jackson, who tunes this car, said if he was putting his money on somebody to win this race, it would be Frigo. If he keeps his end up on the bargain on the driving side, Stevie basically promised, I will keep my end of the bargain up on the tuning side and give him a horse that is as good or better than anybody else has today. Brandon Stroud on the radio behind Jeff Rudolph.
The shooter on the right, prepared to do his thing.
Both drivers taking a moment. One last deep breath, one last check of gauges, and one last time to make sure you got the shifter pulled down into the right gear.
I think we can see our first quote-unquote upset of the round here in a first win coming out of the right lane.
Rudolph's
there are
car.
no upsets, though. When you got these 32 cars separated by this narrow margin, 0.06 of a second from 1 to 32.
Now we're cooking. Both cars welded together at the stripe. A red light start by Sidney Frigo hands this one to Jeff Rudolph. The first foul start of the entire race. Frigo only missed a tree by 0.04 and Rudolph was quicker with a 62.
Yeah, that kind of played out what we were thinking we would see there. Not the red light from Sidney. We weren't predicting that, but probably the best pass we've seen out of that right lane so far.
Let's watch the finish line replay here as these two cars, we watch as Frigo misses the tree by just 4 measly stinking thousandths of a second, and Jeff Rudolph streaks down the racetrack to a very strong 362.
Sidney's going to go back and realize he didn't need to push the tree quite that hard because they were neck and neck performance-wise, but man, it's a tough deal out here, and you know, the intensity is high. That's kind of the first driver mistake that we said we've seen. We've seen crazy stuff. Cars shutting off in the burnout, parachutes coming out on the burnout, just a lot of weird things that we believe is a result of the pressure. Again, 4 thousandths right there. That's just a heartbreaker.
And you know, the beautiful crowd here shaping up. The traffic still stacked up on 64. The parking lot continues to fill as this day will be one of celebration of Pro Mod drag racing, of course, and all the other great support classes we have Frigo's 4,000th red light, that can come down to a function of the guy literally delaying a half a second pressing the brake pedal as he stages. It could have been an inch or two in further than he wanted.
Absolutely. Definitely not a mental error there, just slightly off from what they were hoping to do.
Cameron Hensley on the right side of your screen, the Coast Packing Company Chevrolet Camaro ProCharge centrifugal blower on the front of this engine. And across the racetrack, Steve King. King went down this racetrack at 363, Hensley at 362. And again, that is the story of this race, the story of this round. Cars that are on virtually identical performance dead heats.
Yeah, this Coast Packing car, really consistent throughout qualifying. All the PTP, Patrick Barnhill tuned cars were pretty consistent through qualifying. It took Steve King a few runs to get his feet underneath him, then was able to bump into the field. We'll see if he can keep carrying that momentum and sort of overcome the right lane. I think we were already kind of seeing this right lane come around now.
Well, we just saw Rudolph rip a 62 down there, so there is not a dang thing wrong with the right side of this drag strip. As we look down from the drone, both drivers creep very, very gingerly ahead. Top end, and it's going to be King. That's 2 in a row on the right side. 88.99. Those are 2 delayed reaction times, if you will. But look at that. A 64.9 beats a 65.0. King had 100th in his pocket leaving the line.
Yeah, something happened right at the finish line in the left lane there, down to 200 miles per hour. Car kind of bouncing.
Yeah, bouncing. It almost sounded like Hensley's foot was kind of pulsating on the gas pedal a little bit, too. So that will place into round number 2, the round of 16 cars, Steve King. Scott Taylor. He's put it in the field. He's blown it up. They have fixed the nose in every possible way. And Raymond Matos on the other side.
Just based on qualifying numbers, I'm running through them here, just some quick math. This appears to be the most closely matched pair in this first round. Scott Taylor qualified with the 3.630. Raymond J. Matos 3.631. So, I mean, we're splitting hairs there because there are a lot of other matchups here that are separated by just a couple of thousandths, but this one literally by 1/1000th of a second.
And look, if we take that beyond the paper and we take that into drivers who certainly know what everybody else ran, drivers who went back to their pit area after the chip draw and went down a qualifying sheet and went, whoa, we ran within a thou. Both of these guys went to bed last night and they knew one thing: I got to leave first. They both know that. They've known that for 12 frickin' hours right now. And so it's the idea of who can.
Has it been 12 hours?
I don't even know if it's been. Yeah.
It feels like about 2 hours since we left the booth up here last night.
We finished Little Gangsters right about the stroke of midnight. So yeah, it's been a short turnaround. But for these two guys, it's going to come down to managing that and doing the best job.
Yeah, and I don't know how much sleep these guys get after the excitement of last night's qualifying, the chip draw. Then you've got to sit there and think about your opponent and what you're going to do this first round as you gun for $150,000.
Taylor might have a nose on him at the stripe. It is Taylor, 361.6, outruns handily a 367.4. The reaction times did tighten up, 23 and 32.
Yeah, not sure what happened with Matos there. Looked good early, but fell off to a 367. The speed wasn't down, so probably in the middle of the track somewhere had some tire shake.
Yeah, let's pay attention to Matos, who's going to be on the right side of your screen here. Oh,
yeah,
there it was.
Yeah.
In that no man's land between the 60-foot block and the 330, the car just started to whiff the tire. Scott Taylor said hasta la vista. And the nose of the car remains unscathed in that run.
No cucumbers.
No
today.
cucumbers. No blowers trying to put themselves through it.
John Rica showing the Australian pride this morning.
And Victor Alvarez, the operator, the owner here at Bradenton Motorsports Park, in his first ever Pro Mod race. Certainly not his first race. He's raced heads up for many years.
We said this is Vic's stunt double backing him up here with the red hat. And he actually stood in for Vic at our practice tree shootout on Thursday
that's
night
funny.
and runner-up. So Vic,
get out of here.
Typical Vic. He sends a He sends a marksman over there to stand in for him and went to the finals.
Have they ever been seen at the same place at the same time?
I don't know.
Is
We
this
have
a
to check
Clark
those
Kent
guys.
Superman situation?
We're going
Or?
to check some birth certificates on those two.
And you can see the Australian flag flapping in the breeze as John Rika backs up the fastest screw-blown car, full-bodied car, in the history of drag racing.
Great shot of that flag blowing in the wind as he backs up ever so slowly. Getting him right in the groove. Now, like we talked about, when Vic saw Rika, before he even drew the chips, he was like, he kind of walked past and was like, dude, man, this dude is tough right here. Then, lo and behold, 5 minutes later, we find out that that Vic actually drew Rika. So,
you know, depending on how these early rounds play out, remember, it was John Rika and Ken Cartuccio in the final of Radio versus the World just a week ago at Lights Out 16. There is a chance that these two guys could find each other again, but Rika has to put down Vic Alvarez, who has shown himself to be very capable in his first race.
we'll see what the strategy is out of Vic. They're going to navigate this right lane early and apply the power. That's the advantage that the turbo combination has. Whereas on the left lane, early aggression is the way to the low 360s, high 350s for that screw blower combination.
So Rika pulls the car in a low gear. That stubby injector head made of carbon fiber on top of the screw supercharger. Proline combination. And John Rika, look at Alvarez though. Alvarez trying to run around him, he won't catch him. 362.6. Rika dropped a 26 light in his lap. Alvarez runs nearly 218 miles an hour, 363.2. Still a very successful weekend for Vic, but the Aussies are racking up round wins.
Yeah, great matchup there. Rika with the advantage early on the starting line and in the early incrementals, but Vic was chasing him down, held with it as the car drifted out to the right. I don't know if I heard a pop at the finish line from Vic's car. If I did, it doesn't seem like it was anything major.
So John Rika advances to round two, much to the pride of his countrymen both here and watching all the way across the globe. We do welcome an international audience here on this broadcast of the World Series of Pro Mod, brought to us by Drag Illustrated, the culmination of the J&A Service Drag Illustrated Winter Series.
You know what that means, though, that now with Vic out of eliminations, you're going to get some help up here in the booth.
I feel like we got a third man in. It's in hockey. It's like
he was
hockey.
joking with us earlier in the week when we kind of unveiled that he was going to be entered in this race, and his car arrived, and he started making testing. And I think we made a comment about you and I being up here in the booth.
Yeah.
He said, "I'll join you guys after first round."
Yeah, he predicted his own future there. But the fact he qualified, huge accomplishment in his first race, and he put up a valiant fight here in round one. Ty Tutterow and Joel Wensley Sr. Wensley, of course, we've talked about it. If you've not been watching, it's a unique driveline combination in his car.
Yeah, they performed well this weekend. Like we talked about, these Patrick Barnhill tuned cars with that lockup torque converter, 5-speed Liberty transmission, tends to perform its best when it can take advantage of the cool conditions and apply that power, keep the engine in the RPM band, apply that lockup torque converter. Maybe it gets a little more tricky during the day in the hotter sessions, but we're not there yet. The sun is starting to come around. I bet this track is rapidly rising in temperature.
Great drone shot here that shows us both cars have chosen to line themselves up slightly to the inside of the groove.
Yeah, you can see in the left lane here, just small bald spot starting to develop just to the right at the driver's door of Ty Tutterow's car. So he lined up to the inside there. I think we see that a lot out of Ty, to be honest with you.
And Ty Tutterow just strapped a monstrous hole shot. Oh, man. A 360 at 208 miles an hour. Tutterow left like a shot. Wensley, unfortunately, was too far behind to be a factor in this one. He goes 365 in the loss.
The lumberjack shows up in round one.
Yes.
Kind of wire-to-wire win there. We saw Ty line up toward the center, and I know it was maybe to get on a fresh groove, but then he also did drift to the left, so needed every inch of that.
He did. 3603, 208 miles an hour. Ty Tutterow.
And that's a lot of times you'll see these teams, these more veteran teams, that are used to racing, like we talked about Todd Tutterow. That's a known strategy, you know, back in the day, moving around to different grooves, a tire width to the left or to the right. You know, you go up there, you see the track evolving a little bit, and you want to make sure that you've got the track surface that you tune the car for. Move over, like I talked about, not a lot, but a tire width, and then a lot of times even just angle the car slightly so that as it leaves, it hunts back and finds that groove.
Bowman and Barnett. Sounds like a law firm, but in fact it is the pairing in front of us right now. Mike Bowman of California, the winner of the very first Drag Illustrated World Series of Pro Mod back in 2017, and Lyle Barnett, who clawed his way into this field in the final qualifying session amid much tension.
I was talking to Mike last night, and they were on cloud 9. You know, they've got their daughters here, racing junior dragster, and then he's way up in the field at the World Series of Pro Mod, kind of back where he feels like he belongs. And I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think he and Stevie Jackson may be the only 2 drivers that have competed in every single World Series of Pro Mod we've had since 2017.
Saw Lyle Barnett there. Looked like he was kind of wiping his visor off a little bit. Either that or some sort of a gesture to his to the guy that was lining him up in front of the race car. Tommy Yeomans owns this car. That's Tommy with a big flowing beard behind the automobile.
Majestic.
It is majestic. It's a wind gauge. A red light start for Barnett. Barnett missed it by 27th thou in a 362.2 for Mike Bowman. It was going to be a squeaker either way, but Lyle Barnett too quick to leave the starting line, and the man from California advances to the round of 16.
Yeah, that was another one of our marquee matchups for this first round, and when those 2 drew each other last night, Lyle had some choice words and expressions. He didn't want to draw Mike Bowman based on his performance that we've seen thus far. And I think that was still in his mind this morning, really pushing the tree, and just went red.
This is the one that I've been waiting for. Johnny Camp and Ryan Hayward. Camp is the more established commodity here, right? The experience, the race wins, the PDRA career. Hayward, well known in the Pacific Northwest. Much like, you know what's funny, these Pacific Northwest guys sneak up on everybody. Jordan Lasik last year, the NHRA Pro Mod champion. It's like the season before he shows up, he wins St. Louis. Everyone's like, who's this guy? Last year he wins the series championship in the NHRA. So there is plenty of good drag racing in that part of the world, and plenty of talented racers. And now Ryan Hayward is the standard bearer today.
Yeah, he's gone from hunted to hunter.
Yes.
Really quickly. And we've got 2 of the best in the business, crew chief wise. Brandon Stroud there looking over both sides of Johnny Camp's car as he gets on the radio to guide him in exactly where he wants him in the groove. And then we've got Ricky Jones on the left side, who built this car, RJ Race Cars, and then helped convert it over to this Pro Charger, make some other updates as Ryan put this thing together to bring it out here, and then is at the track tuning it, which at the U.S. Street Nationals, not only was that Ryan's debut, but it was the first time that Ricky had been on site tuning a car in over a year.
We have seen some brilliant action so far in the first round. We've seen red lights. We've seen great heads-up racing. We have not seen a hole shot yet. That is the one kind of factor we've not seen play into a first round win light as of yet. Still plenty of time to see one, as this is the first of 4, or this is 1 pair and 3 more coming behind it. Or 4 more coming behind it. Ryan Hayward, 2 very bizarre reaction times, but Hayward lays down another 359 at 208 miles an hour. Both guys are waiting on the other to leave.
I guess so. Looking for an invitation.
But again, this speaks to the trip that Ryan Hayward's been on. When he was off there, Camp was off worse.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Ryan just treed him, just left him on the starting line, and then he had a 138 reaction time, which at Camp's 233 created that disparity in the starting line.
I mean, the most cliche thing you hear people say in drag racing is you need that one lucky round. A lot of guys prefer it to be the final, but for Ryan Hayward, I think he'll take it whenever you can get it. And for me, you're not going to win again with a 138 today.
No.
So get that one out of the way now.
But that 359, you will.
Yeah, right.
So if he can maintain that, I mean, he's got to be a favorite. We saw, I think he's the only car in the 50s besides Ken.
And now with the morning kind of wispy clouds have blown off, we have basically milky blue skies here, which means that this racetrack will begin to take some temperature. Still going to be glorious conditions for everybody all day long, especially the spectators out there. They're going to have a ball today. But the evolution of these cars throughout the course of their tuning and performance will certainly evolve. That is Erica Enders on the starting line. Courtney's got the door open, her familiar position, fanning some fresh air in on her sister, the 6-time Pro Stock World Champion. And Tim Dutton, a winner on radials and some of the biggest stages drag racing has to offer, and now a man who has gone full force into the big tire Pro Mod world.
Erica struggled throughout the weekend, but then came through when it counted. Final session last night, bumped herself way up into the field with a 361 with a 0. Tim Dutton, 3600. So he actually out-qualified Erica. Really, really strong performance out of Tim Dutton's machine this weekend.
You know, the math cuts both ways here as far as racing a 6-time world champion, somebody who is a known commodity, who is a starting line technician, surgically good. For Tim Dutton, this means you get to measure yourself against one of the greatest of all time, and that is when people rise to their best. And Erica knows it. She gets everybody's best shot every time they stage.
Yeah, it's a real honor for a lot of these guys to line up against her. I'm sure Tim Dutton never thought he'd find himself lining up against the 6-time Pro Stock champion in the first round of World Series of Pro Mod.
Northwood, New Hampshire, taking on Winterwood, Oklahoma by way of Houston, Texas. Erica was out first. Erica will cross first. 3-6. It's a whole shot
There's
win.
Your whole shot.
361.2 beats an identical 361.2 on the strength of a 39 light.
Yep, it kind of played out what you were saying. You were looking for that first whole shot win. Of course, it would come from Erica Enders. The car did its thing as well. 362. That'll get it done on race day. And she's dialed in already.
9:13.60 foot time. And again, for all the negative Nancys of the world, that's another win out of the right lane. So we can officially, if you feel like talking about the lane advantage of the racetrack, you can stuff it.
Well, it's become a real focus. What's funny is just, it is a testament to the following that a guy like Kai Kelly has. But when that matchup happened between he and Stevie Jackson the first round, and then Kai was in the left lane again for the second round, and then a lot of people struggled in that left lane.
Yep.
Then it's, all the eyeballs of all those fans that are watching and following Kai for the first time are like, what's going on out there with this racetrack? But it's the nature of the beast with this type of racing that we do here, and a lot of it is the product of lane choice. But we'll see it flip-flop, I promise you. Second round comes up here, it could be a totally different story.
Billy Banica taking on Amber Denton. This is the first time Amber has qualified at the World Series of Pro Mod.
First, it's got to be the first father-daughter duo.
Agree.
To qualify in Pro Mod.
I agree.
Right? And we were all kind of secretly hoping that they would draw each other in the chip draw, so we could see that. Of course, we can see with no ladder, if both Amber and her dad Tommy advance past first round, they very well could draw each other. So we've not ruled it out yet.
So Billy has been impressive this weekend. Not that he's gone under the radar, but he's been very impressive this weekend.
He's definitely under the radar. But another Brandon Stroud tuned machine. We see cars lining up closer to the inside in that left lane.
One last couple of whiffs of nitrous there for Amber Denton, as she tries to take down the man from Mississippi. Amber Denton just took him to the cleaners out there.
Another whole shot.
Billy Banica was a day late, and he is $1 short. 364 beats a 363. That is 2 in a row on the whole shot count.
Awesome to see Amber get her first round win in Pro Mod. 079. Again, not a stellar reaction time, but just the 250 out of the left lane made it look like she just left him sitting there. 2 straight whole shot wins from the ladies in the right lane.
He tightened up. You don't know if he blinked, if he looked down at the gauge, but something incrementally happened there to Banica, who was normally pretty tight on the tree. It allowed Amber to run and hide. I initially thought she red lit. My initial reaction there was a red light. When you see that movement, you see a car basically halfway to the 60-foot block before the other one moves, you think, uh-oh. Speaking of uh-oh,
No.
here comes Stevie Fast Jackson in the Shadow.
Shadow, freshly repaired. Got the Bumblebee decal in the front after his issues at Lights Out. This is a great matchup. I think these are two guys that didn't really want to draw each other. Know each other well from the NHRA Tour. We'll see each other again next weekend at NHRA Gainesville. Stan, I think, was just happy to be at that chip draw last night.
He was elated when he qualified there last night.
Yep. But then they drew each other. This is going to be a tough matchup. This could go either way. Both ran really well in the final session. Two guys that have both kind of had the bug here at World Series of Pro Mod. Stevie, as we talked about, has competed in every single one that we've had. And we've always appreciated his support, and he says this is the one he wants. This is kind of something that's eluded him so far.
Well, look,
he wants this World Series win really bad.
He's won everything else.
Yep.
You know, and that's the thing. It's a weird thing to think about. You have people that are just craving to win their first race ever, and then you get a guy who's got a trophy case so full there's one glaring hole in the middle of it that he just needs to fill.
I think Stevie finds himself in a better spot here. You know, he had that tough draw against Kai at U.S. Street Nationals, was over in the right lane, kind of had some things working against him here. Drawing Stan Shelton is by no means things working in your favor, but he does find himself in that left lane, probably a little bit more comfortable.
And with almost 300s on paper advantage.
Yep.
Stan Shelton's going to give him everything he can handle, and it's going to be Stevie Fast Jackson. 361.4 at 207. Shelton was 009 on the tree, but not enough horse.
Yeah, 009, but then Stevie had that made up by 60 feet, 925, 60 foot for Stevie, then maintained throughout the run. Really, really close down to finish line, though. Identical speeds out of both cars.
Just that minuscule flinch you saw, and then as you mentioned, Stevie's very aggressive 60-foot time negated any reaction time advantage that Stan Shelton had gained for himself.
There's the brand new Jungle Rat. I don't know. We still call it the Jungle Rat?
I believe so.
Okay. We got to start numbering these things now, too.
It's like the Swamp Rat. Garlett's at 94 of them. You know, there's Swamp Rat 1A and 1B and 19C.
Beautiful new car out of Jerry Bickle Race Cars.
Alex Laughlin, we're in the Laughlin Farms colors. Mentioned this earlier in the broadcast, but it bears mentioning again on race day. He and his wife Cassie announced they are expecting a child. Great news there for Alex. As important as that information is, he's going to park it just for a moment. Just for a moment and concentrate on the task at hand in a car that has been well used in this offseason and will continue to be in 1 week's time. For Tommy Franklin, the PDRA Pro Nitrous champion multiple times, the operator of the series, the owner of Virginia Motorsports Park, a man who's as deep into drag racing as you can get.
Whole family, man. They just keep adding cars to that stable and moving up in rank. So we see Judy Franklin there in front of the car holding her husband while the wheelie bars are getting checked, purging the nitrous, looking over at the Alex Laughlin team, letting them know that they're ready. We saw that issue last night with Tommy where they had to pull the nose off the car.
Yes.
Something was not right. Something was disconnected near the firewall, and they ended up not being able to make the run. We'll see if they've got it on track here.
The final pair of round one at the World Series of Pro Mod. Franklin, no, man, Franklin had to drive system tire shake. Laughlin pushed to the left of the groove. He had to pedal the race car, and Tommy Franklin sprinted to victory. 364.2 at 207 as Laughlin left strong, had a very good 60-foot time, but it went south from there.
And that could have been it. It could have just been, you know, it held to 60 feet, but with an aggressive 60-foot attack like that, things can start to come unraveled soon afterward, and that's what we saw for Alex. Really hate to see that. That car's been running great all weekend. Made a lot of strides, but a consistent 364 pass out of Tommy Franklin is what gets it done in this first round.
We look at that one more time. That means that the Franklin family will make up 2 of the remaining 16 entries in this field. And yes, next round will be determined by a chip draw.
We'll see what the chip draw gods have for us this time.
Yeah, the odds just got cut in half. You know, when we look at that first round and we talk about who advanced and who didn't, I'm not sure if there are any surprises regarding the names, but maybe some surprises regarding performances. Billy Banneker's light, that's a tough one to swallow for him. He's going to carry that with him. for Stan Shelton, he can go into Gainesville going, listen, I'm 009, I got that part of the routine down.
Yeah, they got it on, started moving in the right direction. He'll be in a different car as they go to Gainesville. But as far as upsets, I just don't know that you can even call anything an upset when the field is as tight as what we have out here. We did see a couple of hole shots towards the end. Amber Denton with a great hole shot. Erica Enders. I would keep an eye on both of those ladies as we go into the second round.
And we put Roots cars through, centrifugal cars through, turbocharged cars through, and yes, nitrous cars have advanced, 2 of them, at minimum, into round number 2. When we come back, the action continues here at the World Series of Pro Mod. We got Pro 10.5 Mountain Motor Pro Stock and a slate of action on the way. Round 1's in the books. shots. We saw guys making their best runs of the weekend. We saw some great side-by-side racing. We saw wins on both sides of the racetrack. It's one of the things people like to say, oh, well, the left lane here is better. We saw about half the win lights coming to the right side of the drag strip. We saw some people get incredibly lucky with reaction times and slip the noose, if you will, out of the first round. And a couple of racers, unfortunately, did not leave on time. All the things that play out when the pressure ramps up at an event like the Drag Illustrated World Series of Pro Mod.
Absolutely, man. You couldn't have put it any better, man. But right now it's 10-5 Outlaw. John Carinci coming up out of Port St. Lucie, Florida, will be in the left lane in his Chevrolet Corvette, an 04 model Chevrolet Corvette that has really awed the fans here as the #1 qualifier. Went 390 with a 3.
Al, I think you're caught in a glass case of emotion here. You're pals with Carinci, but you're in love with the 67 Chevelle.
I am. No, you're right.
Yeah.
I love that car. It just goes back to age. 62 years old. I can remember driving by the dealerships, smashing French fries and feeding the Impala in my dad's 409 in the back speaker. What are you doing? I'm feeding the deer, Dad. Feeding the deer. But, man, I love that car over there of Adrian Herrera out of Fort Worth, Texas. Gage Lamas, a young tuner out of the Lake County, Illinois area, will be over there in the right lane helping out. They got that CRT transmission fixed up here just Thursday night, so they're back in competition.
Carinci had to make a little staging adjustment there. Herrera's already in very quickly. Carinci now rolls in, takes a little extra bite of it. They leave. Herrera off with a 300s advantage, and at the stripe it is still Carinci, an arm wrestling contest, and he was the stronger man. 404 beats a 409.
Unreal, and that turbo power came out at 206 miles per hour, and man, it was done. I mean, the whole shot went to Adrian. They got down there at 60 foot. Adrian had him covered. The tires were rattling a little bit. Adrian still out front at the split. 272, but man, the turbo power prevails on the top end.
A 23-mile-an-hour differential favoring Carinci at the stripe. That is that Stevens family Extreme Racing Engines horsepower.
That's when you get your time slip and you look at yourself and go, what happened, man? I was out front, and all of a sudden, what?
Herrera was trying to grab another gear down there as the guy was going by him. Bill Lutz and Bill Riddle.
Riddle will be in the tower side. Riddle out of Howell, Michigan. The 89 Chevrolet Camaro, Brad Anderson supercharged power plant. Tell me a little bit about that power in this car. I mean, what is it capable of and capable to being put in? I mean, I think of Elk All Funny cars.
Well, yeah, no, this is a couple thousand horsepower motor. You can see it's got about a 1271 Roots blower on it. The interesting thing here about this matchup, you have two engines of identical displacement, but you have Lutz running a screw supercharger and Riddle running a Roots blower. They both operate under the same principle. You hook the thing to the crankshaft via a belt, you spin the rotors, and it shoves air to the engine. The screw blower is a little more efficient, so that means Lutz's car has to be just a little bit heavier. Riddle can run at a slightly lighter weight as he's down a little power. They ran within a tenth of a second of each other in qualifying.
And Lutz is one of those guys that can come out of nowhere, man. I mean, you put 10 bad ones together and you put 100 good ones. Let's see how he does here as the number 6 takes on number 11. Chip draw, though, right? Same thing?
Yes, couple of 100 pounds of differential here. Lutz's car carries about 200 extra pounds under it. But look at the horsepower of Lutz's car. Pour on the coals. 391 beats a 401. Their 10th spread in qualifying is a 10th spread in eliminations.
Absolutely. So 198 miles per hour for the Skinny Kid America going down there. Holly EFI and all the people that help him out get him at a round number 2 for the Lutz family racing team. And Kenny, his son, doing a wonderful job on that team.
And this is, raw horsepower is often defined by top speed and drag racing. And you see an 8-mile-an-hour speed differential with only a tenth of a second performance spread. Lutz's car with 300 better to 60 feet, and it just stretched out from there.
Oh, that brings up the gangster. Coming up here in the tower side out of Cypress, Texas. Here's Rob Veldon, his 22 hired gun to drive this 22 Mustang here for the Cooper family will be in the left lane. He came in number 2, went 391.4, 204 miles per hour, and he'll take on Lance Knigge. Knigge out of Mills, Wyoming. That 67 Chevrolet Nova is incredible at number 15, Bri.
Knigge has not been his normal wheel standing, front wheels in the air self so far this week. We'll find out if he can get that put together and finished off here. If he can be every bit the match for Rob Veldon. On paper right now, Rob has a near 2/10 of a second advantage, but if Lance Knigge's car returns to its fighting shape, we'll find out exactly if he can get around Veldon in that aerodynamic 2022 Mustang.
Well, if you have to pick drivers in competition, they're both great drivers. Rob Veldon can handle the pressure. He can handle a lot of things. Patrick Barnhill doing the tuning for PTP down there as him and Jason Lee had put that corporation together many years ago. and have helped a lot of racers and all types of organizations get their stuff wired out.
So Rob is rolling ahead now as Lance Carnegie qualified 15th on his last attempt, limped into the field. Valden had to pedal it. Carnegie is going to sneak by him here. He goes 4:11 at 193, even slower than he qualified at. But in this sport of drag racing, you don't have to be the quickest guy. You just got to be the quickest, quicker than the guy next to you. It's like outrunning a bear.
Well, Brian Lones, the kid would have had his hands full on that reaction time with the two cars so equally matched up. I would tell you, he had to pedal it hard to get there. He saw taillights. That's all he could see. Kid will have to come back on another day and try to get another shot at it at 10-5.
Callie Mills and Dimitri Leeson coming up now. Leeson from Cape Coral, Florida, in the 5th generation Camaro. And Callie Mills, the 1968 American Pride Golf Carts Baskin Truck Sales entry out of Sand Springs, Oklahoma.
Oh, Dimitri put it on us, didn't he, yesterday when he got qualified? We thought, man, they're having some problems here. And all of a sudden he went down Broadway, put on a 412, and did a great job to get into this deal. He's over there in the white Chevrolet. And Dimitri out of Cape Coral, Florida.
You know, Dimitri ended up being the beneficiary of somebody else's bad luck out here. Marty Marilat had that issue last night, the crash at the top end, had the front end of the car unfortunately ablaze as he went around the corner, and that opened the door for the insertion of the alternate. And Leeson was very close to being in the field. You know, 17 and number 9 spread here, and this is a 7 800ths or 900 spread between the two of them. So Mills is going to have to leave on time.
Yeah, if there's one thing I know, the young lady can drive, man. She's on her way to going to Pro Mod coming up in this season. Somewhere she's going to make her or cut her teeth in that sport. But with all the no-time stuff she does, I think she's going to be fine.
She knows the pressure. She knows what's on the line and at stake here as Dimitri. That billet-style injector hat up through the hood of his Camaro. And the speed lump in the hood of the 68 of Mills. Both cars got incrementally better through qualifying, so there is that going for them. The performance narrowed the gap between the two of them by the time we were done last night.
Her father, Big Daddy Dwayne Mills, behind the car, man who used to pilot this car and cars of such for many years, a Golden Gorilla. Now it's time to see what his daughter could do here at one of the biggest floor mats in racing.
Out first and never look back. 4:02 beats a 4:17, and she put a 1/10 of a second on him at the tree.
About 200 miles per hour for the young lady in the left lane. She'll be back for round number 2 as Dwayne Mills giving fist pumps and grins to all the guys helping out there. Good deal.
All round 1 Pro Mod winners. We need you to the VIP tent behind the starting line. It is round 2 chip draw time. We're going to set up our round 2 matchups. All round 1 Pro Mod winners to the VIP tent for the chip draw. Ty Casper and Joel Wensley Jr. trying to keep the family name alive here. His dad got thumped in the first round.
Man, I love that kid's dad. He's the old school, like cool, like
yes.
Out of my way. I'll show you how it's done. Anyway, here comes his kid, and he was so proud as the father of his kid. He said, man, my kid learned to drive this thing the right way. He didn't go fast the first time. He said, man, I lifted, but now, he said, when you feel right, you'll know it's right. Joel Wensley Jr., the young kid, his father down there, and Patrick Barnhill and all the guys backing him up on a headset out of Dearborn, Michigan. He came in at number 3 at 392, and who did he chip draw?
He has Ty Casper from Westville, New Jersey. The Precision Turbo, Victus Sports, Vibrant Performance, Fuel Tech, J&E Engines, 2005 Mustang. A big block Chevy has replaced the Ford power plant in Casper's car. A centrifugally supercharged Hemi for Joel Wensley Jr. Keeping that kind of connectivity between he and his father's car, the black Camaro with the silver rally stripes.
Very cool, man. Barnhill goes to the passenger side, slams the door, tells the kid on the radio, all right, it's all up to you, man. Get that thing staged and let's see what you can do.
We talk about how these Michigan boys stick together. Sam Peterson behind the car, the son of Jason Peterson. They operate US 131 Motorsports Park in Martin, Michigan, and Sam is in charge of track prep up there, so he is the track specialist for this team, a guy who knows racetracks as good as anybody else in the country. Kid grew up with a glue sprayer in his hand.
Oh, yeah. He can push around a stroller at Rockingham half his life.
Wensley's going to have to outmuscle him at the finish line. It is Wensley. 93 beats a 97. Casper got the jump. And you know, Al, when you hear a guy get a little bit itchy on the starting line, he got up in the two-step quick. He backed off it, and certainly you can almost predict a red light there. But Wensley gathered it up and outran him.
That's incredible because he did. You heard the motor almost come back to an idle.
Yeah.
And then he has to go back in and put the whole brain set of, oh, man, here we go. I got to get a light. He did a great job. So Joel Wensley Jr. living in the footsteps of Dad down there. And those guys really building the heat for round number 2. It was so cool to see Samuel. You know, you were bringing up Samuel Peterson down there. He helped out with Joel Wensley on the team of his Pro Mod. Also, they got the shakedown coming up to Michigan for the drag radial guys this week.
We got a bunch of golf carts parked in lane 1 behind the timing tower. Those need to be moved. Golf carts parked in staging lane 1. That is not a parking area. If you're on the tower side of the racetrack and you have parked a golf cart in lane 1, it needs to be moved immediately. We actually, use those lanes to operate the race. We have a Ford that is... Yeah. To the rocket scientist that was parked in front of the fuel pumps, you're now parked in front of another building in your EcoBoost Ford-powered whatever it is. Move it. If you're wondering, was it me? Well, was it you we had to ask to move the first time? We're asking you to move again. Move your automobile out of our way, or we will move it for you.
Dun, 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 dun.
Best wishes. Good day, sir. I say good day. Tim Dutton and Chris Tootin. Tim Dutton put up a valiant fight against Eric Anders in round 1 of Outlaw Pro Mod.
That was awesome. You talk about doing your job, man. That guy really impressed me for his first outing in Pro Modified. I think there's plenty to come just to qualify out of those 80 cars. Right now, he's coming up in his, what you would call his drag radial car. He races in the Radial Outlaw series with this car with radial tires. He's put the slicks on it for this 10.5 Outlaw.
He and Erica both ran identical 3:61 2 elapsed time. She got out of the gate first and won the drag race. He's going to try to take that out on Chris Tootin of Pellion, South Carolina. Tootin, a very grizzled veteran in this car.
Oh, yeah, he can wheel the deal, too. Tootin, he ran that thing at qualifying and stayed with it to get her in the field pretty well at 4.13 seconds. Wow. Man, that was almost like magnetic.
It was Dutton out of the gate first, but then the car shook the tires, so Tim Dutton had to lift, and Chris Tootin was able to motor on down. 4:14 beats a tire-smoking, tire-shaking 5:45.
Well, he'll be happy in one manner, and he'll be upset in the other, but Tim Dutton, I know for sure, will be back. I guarantee that. As Chris Tootin advances to the next round of Outlaw 10.5, that brings up our next pairing. All right, so here we go. A big-time matchup with two big-time drivers right now in big-time cars. Right here in the left lane, it's going to be Blake Denton. That is the husband of Amber Franklin Denton, who is coming up here out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, will be here in Bonnie. Lizzie Musey's old no-time race car, and it's so good to see the car. The last time I was here, she put Lutz on the trailer 3 times, the late Lizzie Musey did, so the representation goes into your heart here if you've known a kid since she was just a baby, man, to watch this man bring this car out. Blake Denton, good luck.
Huge wheel stand yesterday for Blake Denton in final qualifying. Had to lift off the throttle. His wife, Amber, who won the first round of Pro Modified, is waving him in. The problem for Blake Denton is he has a very angry Lyle Barnett on the other side of the drag strip.
Oh, you know, got a drive shaft.
Yeah, and this was, he got a, yeah. It's like, don't give him a drive shaft. They gave him a drive shaft. He had a red light start by 0:27 in the first round of Pro Mod. So if anybody is looking to take out some anger and some disappointment on somebody else, it is Lyle Barnett on Blake Denton.
And he is the guy to do it. Believe me, you talk about ripping that tree out by the wires down, and Lyle Barnett can get the job done. Denton, Well, he's kind of a newcomer, right, to the sport of being in heads-up style drag racing. He knows his deal. He's come from a good family, being with the Franklins all these years and watching how things are done. Let's see how he does right here.
Look at that. Oh, into the stride.
Incredible wheel stand. I apologize,
No,
man.
that was
I was in the
unbelievable.
passenger seat going, are you going to lift? No, I'm not going to lift. I'm going to join my family.
It crossed the finish line on the rear tires. He left on Barnett by 0.05 of a second, and the front end came up at about 50 feet. He drove it all the way to the 8th mile on the back tires.
I got to tell you what, I've seen that one other time. It was at Ohio when Dave Hance took the 57 Pro Mod and went down there through that like that and drove it from start to finish on the wheelie bars. Let's see it in slow-mo, Bri.
Ethan Stedding and Jerry Morgano about to click off their burnouts here. That was the run of the entire event, an event that has seen some incredible performances, but that was pure courage defined. Lyle Barnett had to have peeked over at one point and thought to himself, what is going on? What is happening here? Here it is. Look at the big screen. You're going to watch him leave. The car climbs up on the rear tires and carries the front end all the way past the finish line, an extra 150 feet. That is unbelievable. He could not see the finish line cone. I guarantee he probably got a glimpse of the top of the scoreboard and said enough's enough.
So you think he crossed with the rear tires?
I guarantee you. I guarantee you it crossed with the rear
Unreal.
tires.
So that just proves that he was building steam, man. I love to see stuff like that. Let's go right down here to the starting line now with a P2 contracting car and the young Ethan Stedling coming up here out of Carnegie, Pennsylvania. Bri?
He was supposed to race with Jerry Morgano. Morgano had a big mechanical failure last night, so he's unable to make the call. So Stedding has a competition single here in round number 1. And he's thinking to himself, how in the hell do I follow that act? The answer is he follows it up with a beautiful 396 at 194 miles an hour. 400's better than he qualified with. And those guys have certainly gotten their program put together and on the right track for eliminations today. They're down to 8 cars as the Mountain Motor Pro Stockers are coming up next.
Wow, the word from the top end is Denton got out of the car and he says, is it over?
Is it over?
Did I win? That was awesome, kid. I got to tell you what, man. You just lit this old man's fire up here watching you drive that car like that. So, Bill Neri, as we move into probably one of your favorite categories this weekend, Bill Neri, for the fans sitting out there, they love Mountain Motor Pro Stock.
Yes, they do. The Chicagoan, Bill Neri out of Barrington, Illinois, and Larry Pierce. More than 1,600 cubic inches side by side on the starting line. Gasoline burning. 820 plus cube engines here. You can use carburetors, you can use fuel injection, you can use a Liberty transmission or a Lenco. It has to have a clutch pedal in it. No automatic transmissions allowed.
Well, Bill Neri and the prosecutor, one of the big names back in the Super Chevy days when the Pro Mods were racing each other on a Super Chevy weekend. He had that old Chevrolet Nova, the prosecutor, and the old Bert the Rabbit that you sit in the passenger seat. Yet back, I remember, comes from the same area, about 20 minutes from my house. This was one of the legends in our area, trying to live up to that name right here with these Mountain Motor Pro Stock.
What's been interesting to watch here, and really it was less of an effect in the final round of qualifying last night, was the amount of tire shake these cars have suffered as a whole category over the course of the last couple of days. There's some guys out here that are going to have grandkids born with shattering teeth. They shook the tires so hard. We're going to find out if Larry Pierce or Bill Neri can get to the finish line first. Yeah, it's his fault.
It's his fault.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Unreal. So Neri and company cleared the throttle one time right here in the little Cobalt. How that man fits in that car, I don't know. He's a big dude. He's like a big old bear, man. He's sitting down there, right side, Larry Pierce, and the company walk away. Now it's up to cutting a good light here and seeing who's going to round 2 of the Mountain Motor Pro Stock. Get ready to dump the clutch, Bri.
Larry Pierce has yet to put it in pre-stage. Neri is there just leaning on the gas pedal. You can hear the revs come up slightly. Now as they go and they deck the throttle and dump the clutch. Neary was out second, but Neary appears to have the power to finish the job. 440 beats a 452. Bill Neary picks up the all-important first-round victory here at the World Series of Pro Mod in Mountain Motor Pro Stock.
Boy, I can't wait to read his Facebook post.
We need top dragster round one to the lanes. Top dragster round one to the lanes. And again, if you're parked in lane one with any vehicle other than a dragster, you need to move it. Top dragster to lanes right now, and you need to clear out lanes one. Any vehicles that aren't race cars in the staging lanes need to be moved.
Well, that'll bring up the chassis engineering machine. The one-time champ in 632. It's gone to Pro Stock with the Darrell Stewart car out of Jupiter, Florida. Clifford and the guys down there in the right lane had a rear ring and pinion go wrong in the left lane here in testing or in qualifying. They got it fixed up. They're ready here in Mountain Motor Pro Stock, and they get ready to take on Matt Giangrande.
The winner last year of the World Series of Pro Mod in Mountain Motor Pro Stock, Giangrande, is trying to avoid the fate of going from winner one year to first round loser the next.
Let's see how they do. They pull them up to the starting line area and say it's all up to you. Young lady walks away from Giangrande's car at a Pleasant Garden, North Carolina. I know for a fact the man in the right lane can drive. Let's see if he's got the setup right.
Big tire shake for Giangrande. Darrell Stewart advances to round two. Giangrande retired in round number one, and that is how quickly it ends. That's how fickle the sport of drag racing is. You come in here as a defending champion, thinking you got some wind in your sails, and then the tires go square when you dump the clutch.
You look like a balloon with no tied knot on the end of it, and some kid lets go at the party. That was awesome, though, man. Good to see Chassis Engineering, the big red dog, Clifford, and the guys getting that move right there to go on to the next round. Here comes a legendary family name in the sport of drag racing coming up on the right side.
Jordan Enslin of Lakeland, Florida, the 2008 Mustang, a kid that was so dominating in the Outlaw 632 battles here at Bradenton Motorsports Park. They made the move to Mountain Motor Pro Stock a couple of seasons ago. Scott Benham completes his burnout out of Conroe, Texas.
Boy, that's a good-looking Mustang the kid's driving back there as he backs that purple-white stripe beast up. Allen competition power under the hood.
And as we mentioned earlier in the weekend, you know, the neat thing about this class, when you go to look at these cars in the pits, you'll notice Benham's car will have a giant wedge engine in it because that's a GM-style engine, GM-style car. Enslin's Ford will have a giant version of a Ford shotgun Hemi in it. So, you know, that's a cool thing to me. And again, these are massive, hairy-chested, overgrown versions of the engines that came from, from Detroit. There are no stock parts in either of them. But to me, it's neat that the architecture at least has to match the body.
Keep the name with the body. That's pretty cool. That is. And it makes you wonder, and I think Enslin's been Ford guys for a long time anyway. I mean, the one kid drove a Pontiac. Was the same young man that drove it?
Yes.
There you go. But I go way back to remembering his father be the kid in the car here driving a Ford Mustang.
This used to be fact, and I assume it still is because the physics haven't changed, but the crankshafts of these cars weigh over 100 pounds. 6 inches of stroke.
Wow. Watch the Texan come up. Scott Benham now will edge his way into the lights here. Mountain Motor Pro Stock. Enslin, young Enslin, the Allen competition powered Ford Mustang, looks for the light as he rolls that thing in ever so gently.
The engines will see about 8,500 to 9,000 RPM traveling down the racetrack. The piston speed is like supersonic in these things. Both cars shatter the tire early. Good drag race. Enslin has him. 424 beats a 439 as Scott Benham is retired. Benham was better to 60 as both cars tried to wrap the tire up there, but Enslin was able to be much better between the 60 and the 330, and that's where he drove right by him.
You know, unique to me is watching the numbers they ran low in the 4.0s last night. Now it's like they're 2/10 up into the 20s. Is that conditions, or are they just setting them up that way for first round?
I think you got two factors going on. I think you got, yes, conditions are not quite as ideal as last night, but the second thing is, I think, you know, some guys saw Jesus when they shook the tires so hard that they backed the things down a little bit. Yeah. Monty Calvo and Derek Reese, great matchup here. Reese, a guy who established his career in Mountain Motor Pro Stock, has run 500-inch Pro Stock in the NHRA, and John Monty Calvo, the three-time Mountain Motor Pro Stock world champion in multiple sanctioning bodies, whose weekend was kind of marked by scuffling until they went 408 last night. The Black Magic clutches, 13 Mustang-bodied Pro Stocker of Derek Reese out of Canal, Fulton, Ohio.
I like this guy in the left lane. For many years, watched him as a young man, watching him on the IHRA Pro Stock and Mountain Motor Pro Stock, John Monte Calvo. A good guy, man. Good guy all around when he goes on the posts. You know, he doesn't point fingers. He just does the middle one.
Yeah, it's always going north. Yeah. He raced Chevrolets for his entire career up until a couple of years ago, and he got together with Roy Hill and got in this Ford. If he's not in the car over the wintertime, he's on a snowmobile somewhere up in the woods. I'm sure his wife Lois prefers this environment just a little bit better. Both cars idling now.
Here we go, Brian Loans. Watch this as they bring that Black Magic clutch car into the lights. They're in. Lights are down. Monty Calvo went to a gear change. He's going to try to wheel with him, but it ain't going to happen, is it?
It is not. Reese was out on him by 0.03 of a second. Completes the run, 412, beating a 429. And the racetrack fingerprint tells the story of Monty Calvo's car through low gear. You can see those kind of caterpillar-looking marks on the racetrack, and that is a certain signature of tire shake. Dennis Furcus and Johnny Placino. The fascinating thing here, Al, this is the number 1 and 2 qualifiers having to race each other in the first round.
Incredible stuff. I went over there last night when you gave me that little break. Thank you for that, Dennis Furcus. I said I haven't seen you in so many years, man. Used to race in the Midwest Pro Stocks over at Great Lakes Dragway. And he goes, yeah, man. And then the whole crew goes, oh, Tucci, where you been? I go up there in the tower with the best. And he loves you.
You call it a break. We call it an Irish goodbye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that what an Irish goodbye is? I'll be right back.
Complete disappearance, yeah.
All right, thank you. That Italian guy. I don't like potatoes. Yeah. I do love potatoes.
You told us you were going down the store to get a bottle of milk, and then that was the last we ever saw you.
How about the kids? They look good, though, don't they?
They do look great.
All your little stepbrothers and sisters. Here we go.
They got the hair.
Johnny Placino, man, followed in his father John's footsteps. He's behind the car, the man who won a lot of championships and rounds of racing in the car of such. Looking down at his son down there. You go get him, kid. Bought these guys coffee yesterday, his father and his crew member right there in the gas station. I said, good to see you guys. And it's been a long time. And, of course, he brought up the late Brian Olson. He said, man, I miss that dude. I go, a lot of us do. But you got to do what you got to do. Ross Environmental is here this weekend. They do environmental cleanup. They're here with that team. And thank you to the guys that sponsor these guys, Ross Environmental. You need a cleanup? Give Ross a call. Here we go. Watch out for Furcus. He could be on that light.
A huge red light start for Furcus. And Johnny Placino, the NHRA Mountain Motor Pro Stock Champion with Ross Environmental on the doors, goes to the next round. 407, 177, as Fergus let the clutch out about 2/10 early. Runs a respectable 412, but Placino all the way.
So the guys from Ross made the trip, and it made out well. But the first round in the books right there. Good job. Good job for that team. See if they can win one here today. We'll find out. Well, you got Kurt Neighbor coming up here, and you got the guy that is on a mission. He told me over there in the lanes as I was on that Irish walk, Chris Powers out of Carlisle, Pennsylvania. The 21 Chevrolet Camaro burning the tires up in the right side. Neighbors will be in the left lane. Chuck Samuel, the crew chief down there for Powers. I had words with him, man. It's just words of, Al, we're getting old. That's what he said. We've been around so many years. But he loves what he does, man. He loves taking these cars apart and figuring out why and how and making them better. How about Kurt Neighbor?
Kurt Neighbor, great story. You know, we talk about people who love the sport of drag racing and spend their lives in it. This guy's, oh no! His wife, unfortunately, just caught an edge down there on the track. The very sticky track there. She's going to get some assistance from our starting line folks to help her back. That was an unfortunate moment there. The racetrack surface just so sticky.
She's notifying she's okay, but man, that was face first, and man, I pray for that lady. She's been around here and with her husband for so many years, and
so Neighbor is going to roll ahead, and we talk about moments where, you know, you have your kind of concentration tested. Chris Powers across the racetrack.
Hey, Brian, let me jump in right here. Sonny's Racing Engines right side. Going to shout out back at home in Lynchburg, Virginia, happy birthday. Kelly Ward there for Sonny Leonard, Sonny's daughter right there. Happy birthday today, Kelly.
Love the birthday wishes. Happy birthday, Kelly. Let's see what Kurt Neighbor's able to do here after that moment.
well, Neighbor's driving the car, man. I'm going to tell you what, Powers on a mission, though. How about 4.08 seconds, 176 miles per hour to advance to round number 2 of the double MPS, man.
Basically right where he qualified. Very strong run, sub 1 second, 60-foot time, and Barb is being handled and cared for here at the starting line. We know Kurt will be right back up to see her. For Chris Powers, he moves himself to the round of 8 cars in Mountain Motor Pro Stock. Dwayne Rice and Slick Rick Cowger coming up. Cowger, another one of the Texas posse that has come out here. He's from Montgomery, Texas. Dwayne Rice from Grove City, Ohio.
So with that, Cowger right here, as Brian just mentioned, the Texan, the gorgeous 2008 model Chevrolet Cobalt, 821 cubic inches with a clutch behind it, ready to go as a number 8 qualifier.
So Dwayne Rice is the underdog here, the man on the McFarland Racing side of the racetrack on the west side. Rick Cowger, the favored car here in this 08 Cobalt and lipstick red, as he was 800ths better than Rice was in qualifying. Dwayne Rice, second to stage, and he is second to leave. But look at Rice tracking down Cowger.
Wow.
He's going to run around him.
That's rice and beans right there, baby. He ripped it up down there at 4:15, 172.
Cowger had a reaction time half of Rice's, but his car fell off by 0.2 of a second. Dwayne Rice was even slower to 60 feet, but he just gapped him at the 330-foot mark, and Dwayne Rice advances on to the quarterfinals.
God, it makes you wonder where that 411 tune-up went for Cowger, man. They didn't have it there, a couple tenths off that number. But what a race right there, man. Mountain Motor Pro Stock.
One final pair of Mountain Motor Pro Stock. It is Tony Gillig and Elijah Morton. These are two veterans. A great pairing here. A battle that will be between the 5 and 10 qualifiers.
You go down to Tony Gillig, man. I've known the kid since he was just a young tyke, man, watching his father race. His dad on the starting line here in the tower side now. One of the greats in clutch adjusting in these types of cars, in any car with a clutch. That man is one of a kind. As he watches his son racing in the Drinkwater car, they're going to shut him off for a moment. We'll be right back.
So in a momentary hold here for our safety folks to handle the situation here at the starting line, and once that is handled, we'll fire up this final pair of Mountain Motor Pro Stockers, Tony Gillig and Elijah Morton. Fans, don't forget to grab your World Series of Pro Mod and Racers Club merchandise at the merch tents just inside the main gate. Get your merchandise today, as it will be gone by the end of the afternoon. And please take some time to go over and visit Vendor Alley behind the West Grandstands on the paved area of the Pro Mod pits, that side of the drag strip. The vendors help make the event a success year after year.
It's all about feel. And this car, I love this car, but not when it hesitates. So I was looking for better performance. That's why I went with an Edelbrock AVS2 carburetor. No hesitation. The Edelbrock warranty. Great throttle response. Now when I punch it, it moves. Edelbrock, charge forward.
We drive performance. We drive passion. A background in drag racing. And a future in all forms of motorsports. Because success in one sport isn't enough. Pushing ourselves to be the best. Climbing every mountain. Topping every peak. Until you see Fuel Tech everywhere.
Unleash your engine with Adrenaline Racing Oils. 100% PAO-based oil, the Adrenaline R Series is designed to unlock extra horsepower. Free up your engine to perform its best. Top-performing oils with FR3 nanocarbon technology. The same friction reducer used by top racers. Designed for any engine. Lab-formulated, dyno-tested, track-proven. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
as we now see Elijah Morton on the right side. Morton had a bit of a star-crossed run through qualifying. His best run was 4:12 for Gillig. A 4:09.6 at 176 was the best effort he was able to put forth.
Well, if he does what he always does, he's going to be there at the light, this young kid, man. Tony Gillig knowing how to get that car to motivate off the starting line. Let's see if they get some smooth action and no tire shake or anything, and maybe possibly get a good race between these two Fords. Here they go, airing them out, checking the wheelie bar height, and making sure everything is A-OK. Bob Gillig, that's the father. Tony Gillig standing down there on the left side of the man that is already giving fresh air to the driver. Bob Gillig, who is a phenomenal clutch guy. He worked on Tony's car, got him to races like Sonoma back in the day to race Kurt Johnson. I remember that one on TV. That was when the dream was set. You know, you don't have to go but one time. You get in there, just like Kevin Lawrence, right out of Chicago. You get in there, you're like, I did it.
Yep, absolutely. You're 100% right. Validation of a life's work. And here comes Elijah Morton.
Gillig's in. Gillig's gone. Good run for Tony on this one. He goes 4.09 seconds, right where he left off last night at 4:09.6. He runs a quicker 4:09.3 at 178, Bry.
Just a killer run here in the first round. The warmest conditions of this first round as they ran right at the tail of the pack. And that means we're going to touch up our racetrack, and Top Dragster will be coming up next.
Top Sportsman. We need Top Sportsman to the lanes over here in the Tower Side staging area. Top Sportsman, come on down to the staging lanes, Tower Side. Top Sportsman to the lanes, please. Steve Logan going to be next on deck as Brian Loans goes down there to get himself a fresh Squozen lemonade. We'll be back later.
I'm ready, right? We got a little track prep going on here. Got a bunch of friends asking me, hey, you calling our top category? And I said, I hope so. So I'm going to jump in here. Right in my wheelhouse. I think it's all in my wheelhouse, I'll be honest with you. But here we go. Take a little break here as we do some track prep. Give a couple of sponsor plugs right here. Hey, you know what? We're going to thank, special thanks to Wolf's Head Pizza and Wings for the official pizza and partner of Drag Illustrated Winter Series here at BMP. Make sure you stop by after the race.